Welcome back to Sci-Fi and Friends podcast, episode number 78. Very special podcast today because it is the first remote podcast well, I've done remote podcasts in the past, but this is the first remote podcast on the Sci-Fi and Friends. Well, let me take that back. I have interviewed people over the phone. I had a couple people call in. Azimuth, which if you're watching this, I love you. He called in. I had like the phone on the table and the mic right at the phone. And I've done that a couple times. But this is the first remote video podcast with my good friend Mike Slemmons, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Mike does the Mike Show on YouTube, Spotify. You probably post it everywhere, huh?
Mainly YouTube, Spotify, and the MediaU website, who's our sponsor.
Nice. Yep. And how many episodes are you up to at this point?
We have 7 released. I was supposed to release one this week, but I got a little backlogged, and so I'm releasing number 8 next Tuesday.
Nice.
Tuesdays are normal release day.
Nice, that's good. Yeah, I've enjoyed seeing the guests that come on because it's a nice variety of guests, and it's like, you have the new media angle, and that's kind of the theme, and so to see the wide variety of new media, because it's not just writers, it's not just content producers, it's there's such dynamic to it that each person is so unique that each week I'm like, all right, what's this person do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been really fun. I've tried to kind of do what you were saying when we talked, where I get people that I'm interested in.
Right.
Like, I'm not just gonna try to get people for clout. I'm just trying to talk to people whose content I consume and whose I'm interested in having conversations with. So it usually is pretty, it flows pretty well. Right. And it's not hard to be like, it doesn't feel like I'm having to try to interview someone. I'm just kind of like, dude, I love your stuff. Yeah. Like, what about this? What about this? How do you do this? Like, where'd you get inspired to, start out? Because I feel like that's a big moment for all content creators, is like, how do you go from an idea to just doing it?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it starts off where you're like, it was really crappy at first, and I was like streaming to one person for 2 months, and I felt like I was screaming into a void. But over time I was consistent, and I was doing what I enjoyed, and started to get a small community, or other people who are producing or editing. They just find people who they really vibe with, and I think that's the theme of my podcast. I feel like is people pursuing passions in a way that they just really enjoy what they're doing. So even no matter if they have 100 subscribers or 1 million, they're enjoying it. And that's really awesome for sure.
Absolutely. In fact, I watched a video yesterday. It was just, I think it was just a random to me, girl that was vlogging on YouTube. And it was just kind of her first steps. I think it was about a 15-minute video. And, she started out with, 100 subscribers, most of them family and friends. And she says, YouTube, you have to have 1,000 followers and 4,000 hours of watch time before you can get monetized and all that. And she kind of went through the process of obtaining that. And then she went, so once I got that, I was making the most. She said in a day I made $64, and the least was like, 25 cents or something. But over time, she kept showing over time, she kept ratcheting it up. And I think she's at, 25,000 subscribers, which, 25,000 subscribers, that's a lot of people. That's half of the people in Joplin, Missouri, where I'm at. Like the population, that's half of the town, paying attention to you, which is crazy. But compared to 1 million or 10 million or Mr. Beast numbers, it's not a lot, but it's still it's still significant and obtainable, I would say. And she got to the end of the video and she said, right now on the best day, I'm making $1,500. On the worst day, I'm making 150 or something like that. And I got to the end of the video and I'm just sitting there thinking like, oh, okay, with this realization of it's not about if it's going to happen or not. Like, it's going to happen to anybody that makes content. The only way it can't happen is if you don't do it. If you do not make the content, it will not happen. If you make it and you're consistent and you continue to grow and evolve and expand into whatever that pursuit is, podcasting, videos, Twitch, streaming, whatever, you will make it. you will create a community. You will find a community or create one. You will be a part of a community, and over time, you will find financial success. I mean, it's just it is a game. It is an infinite game. That what there was a feller on Joe Rogan that said the internet is the only place that you can have 8 billion monopolies.
Right. Yeah. Because me making content doesn't really take away from someone else making content.
Not at all.
Because people are constantly consuming that, and every year there's more and more people coming in to watch YouTube, young kids who are like, hopping on YouTube, or even like older people who are like, I don't really watch much, but I want to give it a try and like see what's out there. And there's content for every demographic. Anything you're into, there is something out there for you, whether it's like Pokemon cards, whether it's like, woodworking, whether it's like just MMA, anything. Like, even if you're just like into like mechanical keyboards or like circuitry, there is content out there, and there is always room for more content to be made about that. It's not like, oh man, there's already so many people doing, tech content on the internet. It's like, yeah, but you can do it too, and you can probably find a little niche that needs to be filled. Just make content that you want to see, and I feel like you'll be happy whether the result is you making $75 a day or $7,000 a day.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because you really can't. It is kind of toxic to your own brain to go into it just chasing the money, because it can be a grind, man. I mean,
it is.
I had a guest recently. I interviewed this guy named Dr. K, who's a pretty big fish in the world of YouTube. He has 1 million subscribers.
I enjoyed that a lot. There was a great episode.
Yeah, you saw that episode?
Yeah,
dude, he's great, man. He is such an inspiration. And there was a part of my brain that was like, oh man, if I post this, like, he has 1 million subscribers, maybe I'll get a 1,000 subscriber boost. I got like a handful of new subscribers, and that's fine. Like, it all takes time. Like, if you go, like, there's also, I talked to another YouTuber about like when you're first starting out, a lot of the time you're like just refreshing that view count or refreshing that sub count, and just like constantly looking at that, and dude, that shit is so bad for you, man. Like, you cannot go into it like that, and it takes away from you actually making stuff. It's like, if you're just like looking at your analytics all day, every day, it's kind of like with crypto. Like, you can't just constantly watch that tracker, man. You can't just like, that shit will eat your brain alive. Like, and it is addicting, man. I mean, every new sub you get, every new like, video you put out, and you see those views, you're like, oh dude, this is awesome. Like, people are resonating with this. I love it. But you really got to focus in on, like, you got to keep that spark of like why you went into it constantly, and you have to sometimes refresh that every so often and be like, okay, am I still on this track that I want to be on, or am I slightly tailoring myself to the wants and needs of others versus myself? Because you really have to go into it with a passion of, why did I do this, and what am I into, and what do I want to put out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's art.
It is art. It is. It absolutely is. I've been watching and listening to a lot of Mr. Beast interviews. He did Lex Friedman, which I love Lex Friedman, and
he's been on a whole podcast tour.
Yeah, right. And so I've been watching a lot of that. And one thing that he said the other day was, it's like, if you are an entrepreneur or a content creator, and you want to be productive like all the time, that is like the fastest way to burn out. He's like, either you are you are grinding, you are producing, you are creating, or you are doing something that is recharging you. And if you don't have the ability to do that, to absolutely, pull yourself out of the grind, Pokemon cards would be one thing for me. I can focus on that. I can play the game with, we have a league here in Joplin that we started. And I'm not worried. I don't think like, oh, I have to beat this guy, or, the meaning in my life is going to evaporate. No, it's just, I'm having a good time. If he beats me, great. The same with jiu-jitsu, choke me out. I don't care. I'm going to tap. I'll tap and I'll learn, and we'll move on. And so I found a lot of truth in that, to where so many people just want to be productive 100% of the time. But in order to be able to be maximum productive or maximally efficient, you have to have that time to recharge. Or you just burn out, man. What do you do
especially
to
with
recharge?
Well, especially with the internet world,
Yeah.
like I feel like you have to go out and touch grass, man. Like I
Not in the metaverse. You
like
can't go pick flowers in the
yeah, you
metaverse.
can't just like live on the internet, man. I mean, the internet is a world that you can never get bored in, man.
Yeah.
There is an infinite amount of stuff. And so for what I do to recharge lately, I've been on a working out arc. Like this
Good.
year, I'm really like
Yeah.
I'm getting into like lifting and like it was the first year I ever did 1 rep maxes to like kind of see what
Oh
those
yeah.
benchmarks are.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, trying to do like, okay, I'm going to do 60% of my max,
Yep.
70% of my max, 80% of my max.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's awesome to see those results. It's of like, oh, wow, like I am lifting 10 pounds, I'm benching 10 pounds more than I did last week. That's like
Progress.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like working out, going to play games with friends. Like I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons guy,
You are?
so like, yeah, dude, I love Dungeons and Dragons,
Scares the shit
and
out of
board
me.
games. Dude, it's the thing with Dungeons and Dragons is it's all about the group, man. It
Yeah,
really is. It's
right.
about the good group of people you play with. Because I've been in groups that we weren't really vibing, and it was just it did kind of feel like appeal, especially because the games can go anywhere from like a couple hours to like 6 hour sessions, and yeah,
Well,
it's like
and
you
that's
don't
just
want to
one
spend six.
That's like one piece of the whole campaign, right? So like,
Yeah, that's like 1 week
Oh.
of the campaign, like one day, and like you usually do it like every week or two,
right,
and
for
like
possible
you can,
months at a time.
yeah, like the biggest campaign I did, we did Curse of Strahd, which is like a big, like most people who play in D&D, that's like one of the big
Yeah.
campaigns, and it took 2 years. I mean, it took us 2 years to beat it, and like that's like we didn't play every week.
Right.
Like we definitely took some breaks, but
Yeah.
like probably 60 sessions total of like 3 hour sessions. I mean, so like close to 200 hours. That's like a long video game. And,
Yeah.
but it is, I think it's unlike any other game out there because it's collaborative storytelling. You're telling the story with, especially if it's a good group of your friends, like you're all like adding to this big world that you're just like, and it's completely open sandbox. Like you can do literally anything. Like, yeah, there is the like main quest of like, okay, we got to go to this dungeon and find the treasure, but you
Yeah.
can like be like, oh, let's just like hang out at the bar, or like, should we open our own bar in this town and see if we can like get money that way, or like get enough money to buy a ship, and then we can go sail the open seas and find some
Oh,
side
wow.
quests. It's just like, it's literally like unlimited potential, and that's what really I love about it, because I'm a storyteller, and
Yeah.
like that's what really drives me to it. So Dungeons and Dragons, if you haven't tried it, get a cool group of friends, and just give it a whirl. Like, and if you can't find anyone, like run your own game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are really intimidated by running their own Dungeons and Dragons campaign,
Yeah.
but you can do it. Like everyone, it's like directing, man. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Right.
You have to just try it, and but it's a blast, man. Have you ever played?
No, I'm terrified. I'm terrified
Yeah.
that it's going to suck me in because it looks so much
Oh, yeah,
fun. And
dude.
people
It
talk
will.
about it just like you talked about it, and it's like I would love that. And in fact, I've come across some, I guess you'd call them expansion packs, because you have like the Dungeons
Mm-hmm.
and Dragons universe, but then I've seen that whole concept taken and placed on other universes. So I saw one that was a Harry
Oh,
Potter one, and I saw an Avatar Last Airbender thing, and I'm like, if I play this,
Yep.
I might not come out. I might just
Yeah,
stay.
dude. Yeah. The last campaign I did was a Lord of the Rings one. We started doing it while Rings of Power came out, and it was
Yeah.
so much fun. Me and my buddy, we were Hobbit brothers, and we were just like running around, and I was a Hobbit that was like really good at shooting bows and arrows and like stealth, because I was like really afraid of stuff, but I like wanted to contribute a little bit, and it was just a blast, man.
So how do you
especially
get
'cause, like,
started?
so I mean,
You
if you
develop
want
a
to like run a
character?
campaign.
Like you develop?
Yeah, so there's 3 main books you need to get started. A Dungeon Master's book, which that'll be the whoever's running the game. They need that.
Yeah.
And Player's Handbook, which is the Dungeon Master will use with the players to help them create their characters. And there is there is a whole
Right.
like unlimited range of characters. Like there's the base classes like elf, dwarf, orc, like hobbit, but then you can get into like these things of like, oh, I'm a rabbit person, or like I'm a I'm a bird man, or like there's so many different things, or like, and like you can be like a warrior, fighter, rogue, but then there's also classes of like, oh, I'm a swashbuckling pirate, or I'm an arcane trickster, so I'm a like kind of sorceress that uses like illusion magic, and just like, dude, it is
wow.
So yeah, so Dungeon Master's Handbook, Player's Handbook, that's really what you need. And usually the Dungeon Master would want to get like a monsters manual, so you know like what kind of monsters there are and like what the stats of all those. So those are the 3 main books you need to like just start out. And then you just get a group of friends. You can run it with anywhere from like 1 dungeon master and 2 people to like, I usually try to cap out parties at like 6 or 7 players max, because anything more than that, everyone's kind of talking over each other, and you don't want to like. There are moments. I mean, there's always going to be moments in a campaign where you feel like, oh, I'm not like getting enough to do maybe, or like someone else is maybe taking a little too much time, and that's where it really comes down to the players, because good players, and if you're friends, you'll like be able to feel out that balance enough. Like it's like improv. If some
I was just
guy is just like he just wants all the attention, like that can kind of take away from everyone else. Like every time you walk into a bar, he just like goes up and starts a conversation, and anyone else who tries to talk there, he's just like, oh, but and it's just like, okay, yeah. So it's really all about finding that balance of a group. And some people don't want to be the person who's talking all the time. They want to kind of just like sit back and listen, and then when they get into combat, that's when they come in, and they're that's when their character shines or whatever, or they're the person who solves all the puzzles, or stuff like that.
Right.
But
that sounds very much like improv.
Yeah, it's improv in a fantasy world with like game rules. And the rules are important, I will say, because the rules are what make it a game.
Like, what are some of the rules?
Like that you can die. like some of these more like YouTube channel Dungeons and Dragons shows, like you can tell that the game master doesn't want their players to die.
Well, if you die, you're just out, right? You just like hang out and.
Yeah, like you can make a new character. There are ways to like revive people. It's usually very hard and complicated. Like you have to like store their body on like a certain way, and you have to like go to a religious cult and pay them like 5,000 gold, or like do a big quest for them that they'll be willing to revive your guy. But like to me that is part of the fun, because otherwise you can just, it's like having those constraints is part of the fun about it. I can't just like walk up to a god and like start a fight with them and have no repercussions. Like the repercussions are part of what makes the story interesting, because you're like, oh yeah, if I go into a bar and just start fighting someone at level 1, like I could get my ass handed to me, and this could go bad, and that's part of the story, like the good and the bad, you know. Well, so a lot of these
go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of these YouTubers, like I love Critical Role, Matt Mercer. He's probably the biggest Dungeons and Dragons like YouTube / Twitch show. But you can tell he does not want his players to die, because he wants that story to continue going with those characters. And I get it, because running Dungeons and Dragons for performance for an audience is a lot different than just playing yourself.
Right.
But to me, I like more of the, oh shit, this might go bad.
Yeah.
Like we might have bit off a little more than we can chew here. We might have to run.
Yeah, right. Well, it kind of makes me think of Game of Thrones, Before that, you could always tell, like, who's the hero? Ned Stark's the hero. He's not going to die.
Yeah.
And then come episode 9, and everyone's like, oh my God. So maybe that guy should do some of that, build up characters, and then just whack them off.
Yeah, and then just whack them off. And you can always make a new character. Like if your character dies, like that's part of the story, and then you just make a new character.
Oh, you could?
And like that guy. Yeah. You can always make a new character, and like a good DM will find a way to weave him into the story, or maybe he starts off a little bit weaker than some of the other characters because he's new, but
Man, see, it sounds so much fun, but it's just such a deep world, and it takes so much time that it just scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, especially for a dungeon master. I mean, a good dungeon master probably puts in a good 10 hours for a 2-hour session. Like, because there's a lot of planning. I mean, maybe not always that long if you're a little more experienced, but like, you want to plan out. And it's not like you can just plan out one linear thing, because the characters do have unlimited options. So it's like, you have to also be willing to improv. Like if they're like, okay, I have this dungeon ready for them, but they just decide to stay in town and go to like hang out at this party or something, you have to like know what that party is, and like who some of the characters at that party might be, and what they what some of their motivations might be, maybe some side quests, and it's a lot. Good dungeon master is a very skilled storyteller, a very skilled planner, and also pretty good with like staying on their feet and being good at improv, because you never know what your players are going to do, like, and you never know what's going to attract them into the game, because sometimes you think that they're going to just want to go dive in dungeons and find treasure, but they just want to like hang out and solve puzzles and like build an army in the city and like see if they can take it over.
Right. Just wow. And then not only do you have to know the storylines, main storyline, the backup storylines, like you got to know every character and have somewhat of an idea of what they're going to do, like what they're going to choose, or this character's weakness. Like I need to get them to do a cave, to explore this cave. This guy loves treasure. I'm going to use that weakness to like entice him to do this. That's amazing. See how deep. And I would love to do that. I probably should just play a short campaign and just figure it out, have a good time, screw it all up, and then say, wow, that was amazing. Let's go a little bit longer. Let's go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, we call that like a one-off, which is like basically a campaign you can finish in like 1 to 3 or 4 sessions. Like just like a very simple, like maybe just like one dungeon, a few puzzles, and like and that's it. And oftentimes if that goes well, you can just take those same characters and like build a bigger campaign from that. And that's definitely something that new players probably should do before they just are like commit to a 50 session campaign, because I will say Dungeons and Dragons is not for everyone. I've played with some people that they don't really, it's not their thing, and that's okay. Like it's like games and movies, not every game and movie is going to resonate the same with everyone.
Yeah, and I've seen some like live streaming of Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, and man, I think the one I watched was like, I bet there were 20 people in that game, or in that. Oh wow! I mean, it was five screens across, 3 or 4 down, and everyone was live streaming, and it was it was crazy.
That's wild. I bet that dungeon master had a lot of balls to juggle there. Like that to me, like I don't think I could run a campaign for 20 people, because I can't tailor. I mean, I can't even imagine having enough time for every person to talk. Like
right. Yeah, I don't know how they operated it, or if maybe some of them were just audience members, or I have no idea. But it was fascinating.
My ideal campaign is probably 4 or 5 players, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Because it's enough for variety, but also enough that there's a little balance. And if maybe one day we could run a campaign virtually or something, and get a cool group together. And I could run a one-off or something.
That'd be cool. Have you ever? I'm sure you've dungeon mastered before, DM'd before.
Yeah, I've never dungeon mastered like a super long campaign. The one I tried to run, it was kind of what I mentioned before. There was a couple players in the group that they were new, and I could tell it just wasn't kind of like their thing. A few of the players loved it. They were so excited, and a couple other ones were just... And also another, probably the hardest thing about Dungeons and Dragons is scheduling, finding a free evening for 5 people, like, like especially at our age where everyone has jobs and other stuff going on. So I think that campaign probably would have taken 20 sessions to beat, and we did like 7, and then it just kind of fizzled out. But I've run a few one-shots. I did a Rick and Morty campaign, which was really fun. It was kind of like already built out for you. Like there was a book and already a preset dungeon, but it was a blast, man. Everyone had a lot of fun with that. That
would be so much. I love those little one-offs, or the alternate universes, I guess I'll call them. I love that, because there's infinite amount. Harry Potter and Rick and Morty, and I mean, God forbid there's a Pokemon one. I guarantee there is, and that.
There is 1,000% a Pokemon one. Maybe that's what we should do. A one-off Pokemon. Get your first gym badge or something.
That'd be cool.
Or like an Elite Four thing.
So is that what you do? So it's, let's say it's a one-off, and let's say it's Pokemon. There's to end the game. You set the goal of getting the first badge, and like once that character gets his first badge, and you're like, okay, that's the end of our campaign.
Well, that's an interesting one. So I haven't looked into Pokemon like Dungeons and Dragons and all, but
Yeah.
actually I would think, because a badge seems more like a one player type thing.
Yeah.
So maybe I would do like where there's like this cave and there's like a legendary Pokemon there that you have to find and capture with a team or something.
Okay.
And that might be because a good campaign usually ends with a big boss battle. Like that's kind of like
right.
the formula of Dungeons and Dragons is like there's a dungeon, and at the end of it there's gonna be, along the way there's gonna be puzzles, and at the end there's gonna be a big old boss battle, like a Mewtwo type shit, or like something big like that. And then like so like maybe there's like 5 people and each of you have to use a Pokemon. Or like 3, each of you maybe have 3 Pokemon that you can use to fight this big old legendary guy and capture him, or maybe not even capture him, but like just have him stop, causing mayhem or something.
Right.
You know?
So is
that sounds like a fun way to do Pokemon.
Yeah, that would be fun. Is that a pretty common theme of, say you have 4 players or 4 characters? Do they kind of start off, remotely in this world, and then as time goes on, you bring them together to battle this main boss? Is that a very common type theme, or?
So oftentimes the first session, you just bring them together.
They might start
in
off
that first session.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is if they're all separate, you're basically going to have to be like, okay, Colton, I'm going to deal with you for a while. Everyone else, like, go to bed for a little bit. Like, because technically your character's not even supposed to know this stuff because you're not there.
Ooh, okay.
And so usually when my campaigns, I find a way to weave the characters in basically within the first 30 minutes to an hour. So it's like maybe 2 of you are brothers, and like this guy's your friend from a long time ago, and this mentor guy brought you all together, and he has a mission to like go, find out what's going on with this. We think there's like a legendary Pokemon causing mayhem in this mountain, and we need you to go investigate.
Right.
And because that way everyone's all the way together, and then every time I've ever played D&D, at some point you'll split up at some point, like whether you'd be like, okay, we're gonna go to the shop, and like you 2 are gonna go check out this bar and see if you can get some information or stuff. And then but I think starting out where it's like everyone's in a different place, unless you just do like maybe like individual sessions with individual people, and then
that's what I kind of thought of. I mean, that's more time, more effort, but if you wanted to,
and every phase of D&D, you start out with character building, right? So like not before you even play the game, like I'm gonna sit down with like you and the 3 other players or something and build your characters, and oftentimes that's where you form the backstory of your characters. And like me as a DM can find ways to weave those threads together. So if you're like, I want to be the best Pokemon trainer, and then some other person's like, kind of like a Brock, Misty, Ash type thing, where it's like, okay, you're all a team kind of.
Yeah, right. So did you choose Hobbit? You're like, I want to be a Hobbit.
Yeah. I was leaning between a Hobbit and a Dwarf, and I just felt like, because oftentimes when you're first playing D&D, you just want your character to be the biggest, baddest motherfucker out there.
Right.
But as I've kind of played more and more, I like to like kind of have like complications with my character. Like I played a character once that was blind, and it was like it brought up so many funny moments where it's like all the characters like see this big bad guy like open. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Right. And it's just like super fun, where it's just like adding those constraints really is fun to me. So I wanted to be a Hobbit because I didn't want to be the guy that just like went in and murked everyone. I wanted to be kind of have to like think a little bit about what I was doing, and it was fun. Plus, hobbits just have the life. I mean, that's the best life ever, chilling at the Shire, smoking that pipe weed, having a beer, eating some good food. That sounds
second breakfast.
Great.
Yeah,
second breakfast, dude.
I definitely have thought about, the character building, and it's like, it would be fun just to go through and murk everybody, but adding those complications, those weaknesses, those the character traits really, like that's where you get to explore. So if like I'm a swashbuckling pirate that's doesn't really have any loyalty to anybody, but during this campaign I kind of fall in love with this group, and it's like, there's treasure on the line, but there's also like loyalty to friends. What would my character do? And then see, it makes it interesting for the group, but for the character too. And then now I got to feel that. So if I say, well, I'm taking the treasure, now I got to feel their remorse and everything. And in that, I can
and a good DM will give you a moment where you have to make that choice between the treasure and your party. Right. And my instinct is, if you've been going long enough, you'll end up choosing the party.
Right.
That'll be a big emotional moment for everyone.
Big emotional moment, and I would say probably a good DM would also say, like you said, put those consequences in. So yeah, you gave up the treasure for your friends, but also, you lost something huge. That treasure was going to buy you a space boat to take you back to see your mom or something. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Or even just the character dynamics. Like your friends are going to trust you a little less next time that's on the line.
Right.
And like maybe you do that the first few times, like you choose the treasure, and then like when it's really big stakes on the line, then it's like, okay, I've learned my lesson. I'm choosing my friends. And that's it's like a movie, man. It's like it's like the rule of three is, I'm going to make this mistake. I'm going to do it again, but it's a little harder to make that mistake. And then by the third time, like I've learned my lesson. I'm choosing my friends.
That sounds great to me. When you play, like when you played as the Hobbit, do you like, you're not playing as Mike, right? At the table.
Oh yeah.
You're in character. Like, do you make up
I don't
stuff, or?
I don't dress up. Other than sometimes, maybe I'll wear a hat or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to dressing up. It's mostly just like I don't have the time usually. But yeah, I'm usually always playing in character. New players sometimes have a little hard time getting into that unless they come from like a performance background.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay if like a few people are really getting into like playing the voices and everything, and a couple people are more just like saying what they're doing.
Okay.
But when you're into dialogue, you have to like say the dialogue as the character.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to necessarily do a voice, but you're talking to me as Bilbo Baggins and I'm the shopkeeper. Like it's not like I'm Michael. Like, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna tell him hello. Like you have to be like, hello. Yeah.
I love.
And so that's another thing. That's why Dungeons and Dragons is not always for everyone, because some people just can't get comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like. And maybe there are other campaigns where you don't have to do that so much, where you're really just like doing kind of like tabletop war stuff, like Warhammer. I don't know if you're ever familiar with that, but that's more just like not really role playing, but kind of just like setting up army miniatures and like rolling to see who kills who. And that's if you're not into role playing, Warhammer or some other tabletops like that might be more up your alley.
Dang, dude.
But I love the role playing. I'm not a performer.
Yeah.
But I like getting into those roles, especially when you're with a good group of friends and just riffing.
You're right. Wow, I used to be part of an improv group, and it was like, I just love that sort of thinking. I love that sort of, let's step into a blank place and you and me will build it together. And then I always think of the example of like, I found this old chest, and then I open it and I go, can you believe it? And then like setting you up, tell me what's in this chest.
It's and like, what is it?
Exactly. Well, hopefully you give me an answer so that I can work off that and everything.
Yeah. You're like, yes and.
Exactly.
It's like, it's a bunch of dirty panties.
I knew I smelled something strange. Yeah, exactly. So if you have that kind of that dynamic between a group, and now you add the fantasy aspect, and now you add the time aspect across multiple sessions, I could see how that would be so much fun. Be incredibly fun.
Yeah, dude.
Let's talk about.
There's people out there who have done like 20-year campaigns. I've seen it online where it's like a group of friends that started off in college and they're still doing it. I'm sure there's plenty of breaks between that, but some guy goes on a honeymoon and he's like, I can't play for a few months.
A few months.
That's still amazing.
Well,
the consistency of that.
Yeah, not only would it be cool for just the friends, but it'd be cool to see the dynamics of the characters change over time. So you start as this hobbit, maybe you're the young hobbit. You're like the troublemaker of the Shire, and then you go off and you do. If you played for 10 years as this guy, he's going to change, and you can update him, and so that's such a cool world. It terrifies me, but I think you've talked me into it. I think I'm going to buy some books when I get off this podcast.
Yeah, dude. There's also PDF versions online you can find. I mean, they might not all be completely legal, but
allegedly, there's places.
It's a good thing to like just check it out, read it, and and then once you actually decide to play, then you'll get that physical ones.
No, I think it'd be good. Kelsey and I are kind of working on this thing. Have you ever read the book Super Better? I can't remember who it's by.
I don't think so.
I can't
what's it about?
It's actually right here. Sorry, these are my beer bottles. Super Better by Jane
Super Better.
Monagle. basically she had.
I've heard
she
that
got
name, Jane McGonigal.
Jane McGonigal. I'm not sure. She
Or
actually,
maybe I'm thinking Harry Potter.
Professor McGonagall, probably so.
Yeah.
Tarzan and Professor McGonagall. No, she got a concussion, a really bad concussion, and it lasted for months and months, maybe years actually. And she studies game design, and basically when she got down to this, she was not making any progress on her concussion recovery, and so she decided to make it a game to recover. And so she established the rules, she established the values. Getting up and walking to the mailbox was worth 10 points. Watching a TV show was worth 10 points. Whatever it was, she structured that, and she got better, and she got better fast. And so she took the game design, and applied it to other things in her life after she got well. And so basically the whole book is just showing if you structure your goals, your aspirations, in the format of a game, somehow it alters the way that you think about it. And rather it be this, insurmountable goal, it's like a game. It's a game with progress, and it's just for fun, but then you accomplish great things. And so anyway, I've been reading that book, and Kelsey and I have been working on game dynamics for life. And so we did like skills. So she's a designer, and she's learning Figma right now. And so every time she does a Figma class, she gets some jewels, and she can build up.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah. And it is cool, but it's been interesting because you can go so deep with it and change. And really it comes down to the values. What sort of value are you putting on skill building? What sort of value are you putting on social community building? What sort of value are you putting on, whatever? And we've slowly been building that. So I'm wondering if, checking out some D&D type stuff would give me ideas to apply to this. Cause I eventually want to like release it to in the wild and say, here's the format, here's the template. If anyone else wants to use this, go ahead. And hopefully it benefits them. So I'll have to check that out.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I think I've heard of a similar thing with a woman online who was kind of like really depressed. And she did a similar thing where it's like, okay, if I go out and like exercise for 10 minutes, I get like 10 points. Right. And I think her thing was like called like Level Up, or like Level Up IRL or something. And it was, all about just like physical, mental, spiritual, like leveling up and just kind of, it's interesting because games are fun. They're rewarding. They have these like little micro rewards, and then you get the big rewards, and it's just so much easier to push yourself. I mean, I think humans have just always been kind of centered around games in a way, the first games that were ever developed, like the little Mao or whatever, that like kind of like Chinese chess thing,
Chinese checkers looking thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it's just like humans need games, they need fun too, because I mean, I've been in situations where, last year, a lot of the time, like, dude, I was grinding a lot. Like, I had a full-time job, and then I would take on side projects. And, like, there were some moments where I was just like, man, I don't have that work-life balance. And I think you think that if you just dive into the work, that's going to really get you where you need to be. But, it's like you can burn out, and like, or you can just, like, lose that passion. Like, that's something I'm really working on, is I don't want to lose that passion for filmmaking and storytelling and creating stuff, because like I've seen people do that, and then they go work at a bank, and because they just like want financial stability, and they don't really care about it anymore. And it's keeping that balance, man. I think life in general is all about balance. Like you can do those deep dives and really like grind something out, or really dive into the world of something, but you gotta find that balance of like, I do need friends. Like you need to like go out and see people. Yeah. You can't just like live online, but also you need to work, and you need to like have goals, and you need to have dreams and
have a purpose.
And so I think it's the Karate Kid, which is one of my favorite movies. Mr. Miyagi, is teaching Daniel-san all the karate, and then he gives him that card for his birthday, and then he goes up to him. He's like, Daniel-san, that lesson I taught you about balance, that's not just for karate. That's for all of life. Yeah. Like balance is like the key to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree. Kelsey's kind of going through that right now, just being burnt out and not wanting to design, not wanting to do any physical art, like not wanting to do anything, which was partially my reason for starting this like gamification of life. It's like, okay, she needs to re-spark this because she's just been ground down by her work. And then for me, I kind of kept, well, it was a way to establish a status on the things that I was trying to do. So for instance, in jiu-jitsu, they have a belt system. You have a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and black belt, and then a coral belt if you're like a god. But that way you understand like this ranking system. So you kind of know, how good people are by their belt, and you kind of know how long they've been doing it. Sometimes it is deceptive, but it gives you this structure. It gives you this structure. And that's what I was thinking. Like, well, I asked myself, well, what level of filmmaker am I? Am I a white belt? Am I a black belt? You know, what level of podcast or what level of, so once we started to do this gamification of life, you would look at the things that you were trying to do, and then you would have to rate yourself on them, which was great, because now we finally have a hard point on the map to say, I'm here. I think I'm here. I'm pretty sure I'm here. If I'm not here, I'm close to this area. Then that gave you an establishment of, if I'm here, I want to get here. Now you have a clear trajectory of where you're trying to get to. And it was such a good exercise to do, to establish this and say, yeah, I'm a level 15. Out of 1 to 100, I said I'm a level 15 jiu-jitsu guy. To get to level 100 would be probably a black belt or something, but I'm probably level 15. And I don't know, it's the way that you are able to generate these concepts to think about what you're trying to do. And it helped a lot.
Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah. I might like try to implement that in some of my areas. Cause, especially with the working out, dude, that setting those maxes and seeing like, okay, this is like my 1 rep max. This is the most I can possibly lift.
Yes.
And then it's easier to track your progress versus just like going in like kind of blind and just like every time you're like lifting 25-pound kettlebells or like, you know, trying to, and seeing that progress also motivates you too. Like,
absolutely.
You're like, oh man, I'm getting big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm getting strong.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than going in blind, and even worse, it's better than going in delusional, thinking that like, my max is 4,000 pounds. And it's like, no, you're not going to make
and then you're going to freaking break your back.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get hurt. And then the same way, if you take that logic and apply it to say screenwriting, you're like, I am a $200 million Scorsese level screenwriter. It's like, well, no. And because of your delusion, because of your you can't even write a short film. You need to restructure this, and you'll get there, but you got to do it in this kind of formation. Yeah, the progress is definitely like, that's, you know, I play Ark. Have you ever played Ark before? Ark Survival.
Oh yeah, dude. We talked a little bit about it on Killers. Yeah, dude. That game's super fun.
Oh my God, I love that game. But one of the reasons I love it is because of the progress. Like, you can go out, say I want to craft something. Well, here's the things that I need. I need wood, stone, metal. I go and get it. I come back, I craft it. And that whole process, you know, there's a start, there's a middle, and there's an end. And I can track my progress through the whole time, all the way to the end. And when I get to the end, guess what? Boom, dopamine hit, because I crafted my new sword or whatever it is. So just taking that concept and applying it to life and saying, you know, like, I want to be a better podcaster. Well, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And this is kind of going over into the D&D world. You know, that is actually something that Kelsey and I started to do, was not so much creating your character, but discovering your character, which is like discovering who you are at this point. So it's like, here's Colton. What are Colton's strengths? What are Colton's weaknesses? What are his ambitions? Like, what's his backstory? What secrets does he have? And it's weird when you kind of do that third person thing, when you're like looking at yourself in your own life. But when you do, you kind of come to know yourself better. And then you're able to apply that whole character outline of yourself and say, ooh, I need to work on this. Like, I isolate myself way too much. My character, that I'm playing would be so much happier if he had closer friends, and if he went, you know, and did other things or whatever it is. So I don't know. I think the power of gamification is untapped, honestly.
Yeah, man. And like going back to the Arc thing, imagine if you could just like craft all those items without resources, and you're just like walking around like, oh, I built a house with nothing.
Yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me of like people who are kind of born into wealth or born into status, and they're just like given a $500,000 job. They don't have the same what's it called, the like
appreciation
reward of just a reward and appreciation, and appreciation for it, as someone who started off at nothing and every year was getting a little closer, and they finally get to that point of like, oh, I have this like $500,000 job, and it's like, that's so much more rewarding than just being like, oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
you have it.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah.
You don't need any resources. Just you can do whatever.
Right.
And a lot of the time, those people who are given everything and not have to work for anything are really depressed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people out here in LA that's just like, they've never had to work for anything.
Yeah.
They just, whatever they want is just handed to them, and they don't have that fulfillment that
hard work,
some
and
people who hard work,
people.
I think that's a lot of thing in the Midwest, that everyone is hardworking, whereas sometimes in these bigger cities where people are really affluent, they just are given stuff, and they don't have that fulfillment.
People definitely, they yearn for it, and they need hard work, they need sacrifice. I mean, that is really the definition of dopamine, is striving for something, suffering in a way. You don't want to suffer too much, but like suffering to accomplish something is going to mean more. Your dopamine is going to get hit more. I mean, it's going to matter so much more to you. You just said it really well. Versus if, like, I don't know if you've ever played in like a God server, like where you just turn everything. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, like Forge mode in Halo.
Yeah.
You can just build whatever.
It's fun. It's fun a little bit.
It's cool to see like what's possible in those worlds, but then it's cool to go back into the real game mode and like, work for those things.
Right. Yeah. Everything's value goes up. Like over winter break or over Christmas break, Arc did like I think it was like a ×3 multiplier or something. So everything's triple or whatever, which was awesome. But as soon as it went back to 1, you realize like, wow, wood is very valuable. Like,
I need this.
Exactly. Or like all the dinosaurs that we tamed, like now we can't tame any of them unless I sit there for 8 hours. And I just can't do that. So it definitely, if you strive to work for something and then you sacrifice and fail is the big one for something, and then finally obtain it, the value of that thing. And you understand the value more than if I were to like, here you go, here's a 1 million subscriber podcast, Mike, enjoy.
Yeah, like I'm starting at 1 million, and like it's also a lot of pressure too. It's like, how do I keep this growing? I'm already at 1 million. Like,
right. One time I was looking at I was logged out of my YouTube account, so when you go to YouTube, it just pops up like generalized videos or a lot of Mr. Beast stuff. And I was like looking, I was like, man, I thought, is there a way I could hack into someone's account or the YouTube algorithm, just post my video on the front page so everybody sees it? Yeah. And I thought, what would I do? I wouldn't even know what to do. Like, I'm not ready for that kind of exposure. Yeah, would I get a lot of views? Yeah, probably so if I'm on the main page. But what the hell would I do with it? Nothing. I wouldn't be ready for it. It'd be like giving me some sort of maxed out weapon that I can't even lift off the ground. It's like it'd be better to build up to it and learn how to navigate that whole scenario. Is a fun little thought process.
Yeah, one of my friends sent me a video about like hacking the YouTube algorithm, where it's something where you like post a video but you don't like publish it yet, so you kind of keep it in this limbo of like you're about to post it, and like for some reason that was supposed to like drive more traffic, and I was just like, but I feel like I don't want to have to hack it. I want to put out stuff that people naturally come to, and like I don't want like a bunch of bot accounts following me, because that's gonna make me feel like I'm doing better than I am. It's like, I remember, and it's also like, I'm still, I think I'm at like 150 subs on YouTube, but I'm still like, every time I get like a random person that it's like, dude, I love this podcast, like keep it up, I'm like, that is such a rewarding thing. Versus if I was just getting hundreds of comments of people, I don't think it would feel the same, because I'm like, who are all these people? Versus like some guy just added me on Facebook, and like some guy I had no idea, and he was like, dude, I saw your podcast on YouTube and I really love it. Nice. I was like, wow, that is so awesome. Because I've had a few friends tell me that too, and but and you're always like, well, you're my friend,
right? Right.
If you said you didn't like it, it kind of be a jerk,
right?
But having these like random people like that you're actually resonating with, even if it's just one or two people, like it's so awesome.
Yeah,
it really feels like you're building a community.
Right. Confirms your suspicions. Like, am I doing good? Am I supposed to be doing this? There's definitely been some times where I've been on the low end of creating content. Like, I don't know, is this working out? Should I do this? And I'll get a random text from somebody, like, loved this podcast that you did with so-and-so, or the video you made me cry, or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's like a clue that I should continue in this direction or whatever. Those
actually
help.
One of my friends watched your podcast, and he reached out to me, and he like specifically was like, dude, this part resonated with me so much. We were talking about like living out here in LA, and it's like how crazy expensive it is, but you said something along the lines of, but you're like, you don't see this, but you're actually getting this like so much opportunity costs, like
absolutely.
Being out there, you have so much like more potential out there that you're paying $2,000 for rent, but that is going towards like having this community, like having these opportunities. And like I think my friend was kind of like in this point where he was just like feeling so down, and like I think that really motivated him in a way. Awesome. He was like, what this guy said really like resonated with me and kind of pushed me to keep trying, and I was like, dude, that's so great when it's not just like this was great, it was like this part really resonated with me.
Absolutely. And you shared that with me when he sent that to you, and it made me feel so good. Like, wow, if nobody else listens to this episode, or I just get shit on the whole time about how stupid I was or whatever, I don't care. I'm going to hold this little comment close to my heart. I was
even that reel I posted with you that like it's somehow like more viral than any of my reels is the one you're just like, anything is better than nothing. Like doing a shitty minute podcast where you're farting and having crappy audio, like so many. Really well. I think it has like 100 shares and like 5,000 views and like 1,000 likes or something. I was just like, it's so cool that like people are watching this, and like I feel like it's giving them a little spark of motivation, to just like do something.
It's interesting how like trite most of the things that you say, like anything is better than nothing. It's so simple. But when you're reminded, or when the right person tells you, and you're like, wait a minute, 1 is better than 0. And it actually somehow it hits you differently. I don't know. It happens to me a lot too. My mom or dad might tell me something, and I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. And then, I see a TikTok, and I'm like, oh, I probably should do that. So how much of it is so simple, but my God, it really, I guess the secret is that it is that simple. Whatever you're trying to just, that's what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It's just so awesome. Like doing this podcasting thing, because I've only been posting for like 6 weeks, and it's just like, I really like it, man. I really enjoy the process, and I just like sitting down and talking to people like this. Like it's so, like, imagine we were making like our full salary doing this. Like that would be one of the best jobs in the world. Like this was just absolutely chatting with people.
Right.
I would do this. I am doing this regardless of the money. So it's like I would do this and not get paid. So I mean, if you can find a way to make good money doing it, that's amazing.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. So with your show, you say like, say you like what's the Avatar guy that we watch? Hello, Future Me. Hello, is that what it is? What's his name?
Oh yeah. I did reach out to him. He ghosted me.
But it's okay. So that's my question is, so like you're out there and you're on all these platforms, and you say like, I really like this person, they're really cool, I'm just going to shoot him a DM, hey, I do this show called the Mike Show, and I blah blah blah. I mean, is that how you pick up your guests?
So I have a kind of a boilerplate template of this. And also, if you go to people's YouTube channel and their about page, there is a contact email 90% of the time. And so even if there are 1 million subs, usually you can find that email. Or if not, like I actually reached out to Lex Friedman. I found his email on MIT website. Also ghosted me, but it's okay. Like I'm getting better at this rejection. But so I kind of like have a little bit of a boilerplate, but I do try to like like for Lex Friedman, I was like, you are like one of my favorite podcasts out there. Like in a lot of ways, like a lot of what I do, like you said, a lot of your stuff is imitate off Lex Fried or Joe Rogan. Yeah. Lex Friedman is one of my role models because I think he focuses more on being enriching than entertaining. And to me, I really like that. I mean, not to say he's not entertaining at all, but like, I think a lot of it is really, he's diving into like the like true heart of a lot of his guests and like what is pushing them. And that's what I'm trying to do too. Because I think even if I can put that stuff out there and, you know, put it out in a format that, you know, some guy out there who doesn't do content but wants to sees it, then maybe they can motivate themselves to start, you know, pursuing some more passions or something like that. But yeah. So cold calling is it's a little tough because you definitely have to face rejection. Like I've reached out to people and even like sometimes they don't, if they do respond, they say no. What? Like there was this one guy, Accented Cinema. He does really good video essays, and he was essentially just like, I just have such a crazy schedule. I can't fit it in. I was like, okay, man. Yeah. Just reach out if anything changes and keep on doing what you're doing. I'm a big fan. Yeah. And it's cool, you know, and it makes sense because I'm a super micro content creator. Like even with my sponsor, who's like a little bit bigger than me, like I'm a micro content creator. If Mr. Beast and everyone was like, just like always down to like, it wouldn't make sense that they're willing to do this because their time is worth money and they want to maximize that in a way. But there have been people like Dr. K and some other like YouTubers that, you know, have, you know, a good following that have accepted, and it's cool to get to talk to them. And, you know, the more you grow, the more people that will probably say yes. And so you just have to keep consistent and not let the rejection like really get to you. And I don't think I'm letting it get to me really, because I get it. Like
it's not personal.
Like yeah, it's not personal at all. I mean, it's not like they're watching my podcast and being like, this sucks, I don't want to do this. They're probably just like, they probably just look at the number and they're like, I don't know if this is worth it.
You know? Right. What's this guy about? You know, I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
No, I mean, once you introduced me to Riverside, I was like, wow, okay, this is going to open up the floodgates because, you know, in my area, one time I was listening to Rogan, he had Joey Diaz on, and then they were just talking as buddies, and I kind of had this realization of, they're just all his friends, you know, early Rogan days. Like, they're just his friends. His friends just happen to be successful entertainers or, you know, successful people because they're all in that location. And I was thinking, oh, well, I'll just bring my friends on because people are just interesting. And my job will have to be, I got to pull the interesting out of them, or they're just interesting on their own and I enjoy them on my show. But when you showed me Riverside, I thought, okay, now I have access to everyone. Yeah. I have, like you in LA, I have several friends in LA that are very successful, work for Netflix and produce a lot of cool stuff. And now I think, well, they can come on the show now. You know, I have access to them and I can talk to them. And then I would, you know, I'm a huge social media guy. I'm on YouTube all the time. And I'm watching these videos and sometimes you watch a video like, oh, this guy has couple thousand followers or, you know, tens of thousands or whatever, a lower level, you know, I only have 300, so it's more than me, but then I think like, oh, I would love to talk to this guy. I would love to reach out. Or this guy won the 2022 Pokemon TCG championships in Japan. Like, well, bring him on the show. Like, let's talk to him.
Yeah, dude.
And when you said you just cold call people, I was like, holy shit. Hold on, because I'm about to go ape shit with Riverside and just see who comes out. One thing I do like about that, you know, if you were to get like Hello Future Me or something, they are not, he's a person and Lex Friedman, all those guys, they are not a rookie when it comes to like looking at a camera, setting up a mic, being able to talk and discuss. Like, that's what they do. There's been people that come on the podcast are like, what's a podcast? What do I'm not very interesting. I'm like, dude, don't worry. It's just a conversation. But if you actually bring in an entertainer or you bring in a content creator, someone that's what they do, I feel like it's when you do improv, if you have two high profile improv people, dude, that scene is going to be fire. I can't believe I just used that term.
Exactly. Fuego, bro.
Yeah,
Fuego.
But if you have a high profile improv guy and a rookie, maybe it's okay. Maybe this person has enough talent to kind of carry the show, but it's probably not going to have as much fireworks as if you have two professionals. So like when you come on, I'm never worried. Like, how to talk, you have interesting things to talk about, how to do all your equipment, you're actually teaching me stuff, which is I'm very thankful for. And so it makes it easier to actually produce a show versus, bringing in a buddy that's, barely has an Instagram account, let alone sit down with a camera, 2 cameras in his face and everything. So I'm very excited for the world that's being opened up by Riverside. So thank you for showing me this.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I feel like I do the word super good, man. I feel like I do.
You do, man.
But yeah. When you do have these like people that are not content creators come on, you do have to like be a lot more cognizant of just making them feel comfortable to share their stories, because people are not just naturally comfortable with being open and authentic, especially when there's a camera right in front of them and they're like, I mean, people get really nervous. I mean, even me, like I was a little nervous the first couple podcasts. Luckily I had like people that I was very comfortable with already talking to. Like that's why I brought you on as like episode 2. I was like, I know that no matter what, like Colt and I are gonna be able to riff, whether it's crypto or gaming or making content. Like it's just gonna be chill. And so man, dude, I do want to talk a little bit about the TCG stuff though, because I feel like we both have been getting into that world at the same time.
Oh, I've returned to it. Absolutely. I've returned to it in a fury. I don't even know what happened, but so I've seen you do some live streams with One Piece giveaways and stuff.
Yeah. So me and a couple buddies, over Christmas, cause I've been a big One Piece nerd for the past year. Like I've just been loving it, and they just made their trading card game. Okay. And so me and a couple buddies who are actually like going out to all these big professional tournaments and placing and getting, well, they are. Okay. So I'm basically kind of like the team manager / content producer. Yeah. And so I'm helping them. And we're also a card shop. Like we have a TCG TCG player account, and we're, doing these live openings and doing giveaways. And then any cards we open that we don't want, we'll just sell them on TCG player. We're not like trying to scalp or anything, but we're just, like anything we don't need that's not going straight into a deck for competitive play, we're just going to sell it, make a little extra money. And so, we started, it's called Parallel Gaming Live. Okay. Right now it's just me and 2 buddies, but we are looking to like add more players. Like we are like right now we're focusing on One Piece because it just came out and we don't want to like spread ourselves too thin, but we do have plans of getting into Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, like all the big trading cards, and like even trying to get like teams of like, okay, here's our Pokemon team, here's our Yu-Gi-Oh team, and like, let's give people like shirts and like, some swag, and like go out and like, play in these tournaments and just have fun with it, because cool. The 2 friends I'm playing with are really passionate about it. One was a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy, or no, Digimon guy. He was going to the Digimon Nationals and playing, and the other one's a little newer, but he's already like picking it up. And we're doing a Treasure Cup in Las Vegas on President's Day weekend. Whoa. It's 512 players.
Wow.
And I think the first place prize is like $8,000 or something like that. And so awesome. It's like, it's going to be fun. And that's kind of the cool thing about it is like, since we're doing both card trading, professional competitions and content, it's like, even if we're not placing first every time, we still get content out of it. Yeah. And, even if the content's not, popping off, we can still sell the cards and get a little bit of money. So, we're a little bit diversified with what we're doing. And I'm excited to, start expanding into like other games. Cause, like we were saying, I was a big Pokemon dude. I went home over the break. Yeah. And I opened up my Pokemon binder, and sure enough, dude, I probably have like 35 or maybe 40 of the first editions. Wow. Out of the 81 that there are for the base set.
Do you have any that you might get graded? That would be worth grading?
Dude, that's the one problem. Yeah. I did not take care of them very well. Dude, I had a Chansey, which is like, I think the 4th most valuable card, man.
First edition.
But that shit is just, dude, that shit is just scratched up to hell, man. Like the hollow is just like all scratched up. I had a Lugia first edition, and it's just all scratched up, and it's like, it's kind of sad, because I was like, dude, if I would have kept this. And the Chansey, I think like there was one that sold for like $200K
Holy
and
shit!
but you
I
know
mean, I
that
sold a
guy
Charizard
who,
for 400,000 or whatever. I didn't know
yeah,
Champion was
yeah,
that much.
but those people like aren't they? You know, we got into it when we were kids. Like
Yeah,
we're not opening up a card, putting it in a sleeve,
yeah,
putting that sleeve in a hard case so no dust gets in there. Like we're out there like throwing them in, playing with them on the playground,
right.
man. We're not like
Dude, check it out, my
so. Yeah, a lot of
Charizard.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of my cards are not like super valuable,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna just keep them as a collection. I would love to get a full first edition base set and
Oh
then
my
Shadowless and then Fossil and everything. Even if they're not like
Right.
eight out of 10 pristine.
Yeah.
Like I feel like for me, as long as it like looks okay,
Yeah.
like as long as it like you can like look at it and be like,
Right.
this is a good card, like
Yeah.
I'll buy it. And also, dude, I had even more first edition Yu-Gi-Oh, because that's when I was like around 12 and 13 and I
Yeah.
started to play a little bit in the tournaments. I had probably like 300 first edition cards
Jeez.
for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to like complete my first edition sets for Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, and then move on to like Shadowless and yeah,
Oh
just kind
my
of collect
God.
it.
I hope
One
you
day
got a-
pass them down to my kid.
I hope you got a deep bank account, dude, especially those Shadowless stuff. Oh my God.
Well, the thing is like yeah, they are expensive cards, but if you're not focusing too much on
Quality.
mint, like
Oh,
near
right,
mint,
yeah.
like even if it's like lightly damaged,
Yeah.
like as long as like there's some lightly damaged cards out there that if you look at them, like you're not going to really see. Like maybe there's like a scratch on the back of it or something,
Right.
or something like that. Like it's not going to be too crazy, and I'm not going to do it like this year.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like over the next 5 years, I'm going to like slowly like complete those collections.
That's one of the best things
But,
about TCG Player is that you can find, first edition, near mint, common card for $1, $2, and I have no problem. I have no problem paying that, and just slowly like, I'll buy 5 cards here, I'll buy 5 cards there from this set and that set, and I just constantly have them coming in. If I spend $10, $20 here and there, I'm building the set. And my strategy is I start with the commons and things that I can just really just pump off real quick. And then I start hitting those hollows and I'm like, okay, this one card's going to cost me $20. Like let's maybe I'll forego coffee this week so I can get this Blissey card or whatever. And then just slowly build up to that. One thing, and then you probably have a lot of opportunity in LA, a bigger network like that, but a lot of like rural towns around here have cards that are just like sitting around, like someone's mom's like, oh, this is Billy's old Pokemon collection. And I don't rip them off, but I tell them that, hey, you do have some valuable cards. Most of the time I just let them go for pretty cheap. So, finding them.
Yeah, because they don't want to put in the work to like post it on TCG or eBay. Like, that is good of you to be a little bit transparent about it. Because I know some people will just be like, "Oh yeah, I'll throw you $10 for this first edition Holo Charizard." Yeah,
right. Somebody offered.
It's like this card's so old, it's not worth anything.
I mean, I want to so bad. I want to do that so bad. Like somebody showed me a holographic. I don't know if it was first edition or not. But it was a Dark Charizard from the Team Rocket set. And I was like,
yeah.
Okay, I would love to have that
easily
card.
$400 or $500.
Oh yeah, I said I would love to have that card. I would give you, I'd give you $100 for that card, but I'm going to tell you, it's probably worth more. So if you want to let it go for $100 and you know what it's worth, you like you said, you're going to have to get on eBay, you're going to have to get on TCG Player or whatever. I'll give you $100 right now. We'll call it good. They did not sell it to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and also with TCG Player, if you don't already have some sales on your books, you're gonna have a 0% rating, and most people are probably not gonna buy unless you're just severely underscoring. Luckily, since we have this company, I think we've already done like 50 or 60 sales, and we have 100% approval rating.
So you're level 4
ripping
already?
people off. Yeah, we're level 4 out of 5. So yeah.
So that's the one thing, because I started doing a profile on TCG, and the only thing that got me was I just wanted to sell like my extra Silver Tempest, holographics or whatever, just to make a little money, buy more boosters, call it good. I can't change the shipping charge. So like one card, like if say you buy one card for $2, that's worth $2, and I'm going to pay $1 to ship it. To ship TCG like requires like $3 shipping or something. So you're not going to pay $3 shipping plus $2 for this card that's already only worth $1 or $2. So
Yeah, we typically don't sell anything worth less than $4.
right.
Just because, but what we can do, or what you could do, is eventually go out to some of the TCG conventions and sell bulk to people.
Oh, right.
Like, be like, look, I have like all this bulk. Like, you want to take it for $1,000 or $500? You know, there's like several hundred cards here, but and they're each worth about $1.
Right,
so
right.
You can get a little bit of money. Yeah, that's a good way to do it with the stuff that's not worth quite as much.
So how
and yeah,
how much are you doing, like even TCG and beyond, these conventions and these gatherings and stuff?
so we haven't gone to any big one. So we started this like group like over New Year's.
Okay.
So we're like a month, 4 weeks old.
Still fresh.
But we yeah, still very fresh. But they went to a 10K Cup in Houston that was tied to a convention, but they were so busy doing the competition that they didn't really get to go to it. The one we're doing in Vegas on President's Day is also a convention too. Okay. And so my plan is like, we bring all our bulk there and see if we can, I can like split off while they're playing and like see if we can sell some of the bulk too. And just also like see if I can find some good deals for my first edition sets. And
I bet you could. I've been really like, that was one of my New Year's intentions, is I wanted to be more involved with the community. And so I started looking at like conferences and for everything, you know, Pokemon. Yeah, there's a tournament in Springfield, Missouri that we're going to go to. It's like a friendly tournament. Yeah, the guys know each other. It's about an hour away. But then there's also the guys at League have been talking about nationals or regionals in Knoxville, which is pretty serious. And then there's something in either Houston or I think it's Arlington, which if you won in Arlington, you would be invited to Japan. I mean, it gets crazy, but
yeah.
But I was
it's a whole world. Not a lot of people know about it. Like the whole like TCG esports scene. Like it's because it is an esport, even though it's not you know.
Right, yeah. Like,
but it isn't technically an esport.
yeah. But I mean, even with crypto, like with all the NFT stuff, I got a buddy who's out in LA who like went to the NFT convention. I'm like, I want to be there. I want to be around my people. And so I've been looking like Bitcoin Miami. There's a couple more out in LA.
Bitcoin Miami is like a big price tag though. I think it's like $1,000 for general. Luckily with the trading card stuff, I think the one in Vegas is $40.
Yeah, right.
So
I think
it's like a pretty low.
Is $70. And go to Knoxville, participate. I don't know what the grand prize is. It's like tens of thousands of dollars, or I'll say thousands at least. And you pay $70. I think you get 12 games guaranteed. Like, okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's probably like a lot of them are like 10K, but that's for like first, second, third, fourth, fifth place, or maybe like top 8. So they split it up a little bit, but you know, obviously first place gets the majority. So yeah, dude. I've actually been thinking about like going around and playing a little Pokemon game myself, because I never played the game. I just collected the cards. Me and my friends when we were kids didn't really even know how to play the game, but I did go to a few Yu-Gi-Oh ones. I don't know if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh, but those games can be a little intense. Yeah. Like it's like, because there's so many chain things. So like you'll be playing a guy and you'll like play like 1 or 2 cards, and then on his turn he'll be like, all right, I play this card which swaps out for this card and like does this and then this, and he does like 8 moves and you're done. Like the game's already over. I'm like, oh, I don't even know what just happened, man. Like
I'm gonna send you a video.
But I think Pokemon's a little less like that, right?
Well, I don't know. I run with a Mew deck. And the Mew deck is very, very fast. So if I have a Battle Pass VIP, this is getting real nerdy. If I have a Battle Pass VIP, I can throw that down, pull out 2 other Pokemon, put them on my bench. Those 2 Pokemon allow you to draw cards until you have a certain amount of cards. So there are times where, I mean, you are laying stuff down, swapping them out. This is a trainer card. This is an item card, and 220 damage to him. He's knocked out. I'm taking my prize card. So, I mean, a high-level player, I've been in those situations where it's like, what is going on?
But that's not like a turn 1 or 2, 3 thing. Like, that's like, right? Or is it?
Yeah. That's like one
that's
turn.
Like a turn.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But like, I mean, like first, second, or third turn. Like that you can't do that like completely early game, can you? Like you have to like you have to. What's a Mew cost? Like how many energy do you need to get him out on the field?
2.
So you could do it by turn 2.
So what I would recommend is to download the TCG Live app online and create an account and play there, because you can go to the casual area, build your own deck, and you can just play over and over and over, and you can kind of figure out like, oh, that's what that card does.
Right.
Oh, okay. And so when I went to League, they were like, you need to get one of these decks. Like there's Lugia deck, Blissey deck, Mew deck, a couple other ones that are very powerful. They've won Worlds several times. So I was like, well, Mew is my favorite. I'll go ahead and grab Mew. And then I went home and played that app like over and over and over and over again. I go, so this is how this deck works. And you will learn super fast that way. And so then when we go to League on Wednesday nights, then I can take everything that I've learned from the app and actually play it in the physical space.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, without getting too nerdy, like you pull out 7 cards, say there's a basic Pokemon in there, you just throw him out, and then you can put energies on him. But there are trainers that you can double up energies, and that's
awesome.
Yeah, I think you would really like it because it is pretty fast.
Can you play with friends on that game?
Oh yeah, you can add people and play.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be down to play a few games and just like test it out. That'd be fun.
Yeah, yep. And so we started a Discord too. I'm sure you have Discord, so you just hop on, play some card games, talk to each other, and yeah, it's fun. It's very fun. But I don't know. I mean, playing at League, I screenshotted my Whoop the other day because just playing here in Joplin, my heart rate was like at 130, and I was like, League was intense tonight. And Cody, my buddy, he was like, well, just imagine if you were to go to Knoxville or something when there's money on the line. And everyone here is very nice. You know, they're like, you probably don't want to do that because I'm going to do this. So that it's making me a better player. But if I were to go to a tournament, they would just wipe the floor with me, you know? So one of these days I will, though, just for fun. I don't care if I win or lose. It's just fun to be a part of the community.
Yeah. I feel like as long as you can go into those and be a good winner and loser, you'll be fine. Because there's people who are both bad winners and losers. Like especially in some of those professional settings, it gets sweaty and people are really intense about it. So if they lose to you, they're gonna be like flipping the tail and like, God damn it.
Oh, there's been some times.
If they win, they'll be like, yeah, that's right, motherfucker.
Oh,
like,
that's why I train jujitsu, so I can come across the table and choke your Pokemon ass.
Yeah, I'd be like, what'd you say, man?
Listen, you won. Be cool with that, because
it's like, here's my Machamp deck right here.
He's like, I'm a black belt. Okay, never mind. Good for you. I'm gonna leave. No, that's good stuff, dude.
Yeah, dude. If you ever want to get into One Piece, man,
I'm not familiar with
I can
One Piece.
definitely give you some.
Is that an anime?
So One Piece is the biggest manga of all time.
Oh, wow.
And it's also the longest running anime of all time.
Okay, I did not know.
It's taken a little bit to start to get into the U.S. market because it's like Japan. It's like their thing. Like
really?
Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
But they're also Netflix is about to do a live action adaptation of it, which everyone's really nervous about, obviously, because live action anime stuff is can be a little cringe. But yeah, so I got into it last year. I just started, kind of watching so there's 1,050 episodes, right? There's 1,050 episodes of One Piece. Granted, they're each about, I would say even less than 20 minutes, because usually there's about like 3-minute intro and like maybe even some recap stuff going on. I got into it last year, man, and I am on episode 669.
Wow.
And I love it, man. It's because it's all about pirates.
Okay.
It's all about a group of people, and it starts out this one guy who's like, I'm gonna become king of the pirates. He's in a little rowboat, and he has this like goofy power where he's made of rubber, and so his arms can like extend and do all this stuff, and he can take a lot of beatings. And then over time, he gets this crew, and they go on all these adventures. And I think at the heart of One Piece, it's all about adventure, friendship, and kind of just having fun. It's just
great.
A fun show to watch.
Yeah.
Because I've watched some other animes like Naruto and some other ones, and they just didn't resonate with me the same way that this one did. I really like it. I'm sure it's not going to be for everyone, but to me, it's a blast. And you can watch the first 300 episodes on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, the theme, the friendship, and like the being courageous, like that is so important, and that's one reason I love watching Pokemon and watching Ash. How he's he never gives up.
Yeah,
like I actually feel better after watching. I actually feel like there's such a good message, and I don't know, not to pick on anybody, but a lot of these streaming networks just have garbage. Like, what's the message here? The message is whatever. no, that doesn't inspire me. Doesn't give me hope. It actually makes me feel like shit. So I've found that at least the animes that I've been watching lately with Kelsey, it's like I feel better. Like Avatar, Last Airbender, Zuko's got this whole you know.
Yeah, his redemption arc is one of the best written character arcs of all time.
My favorite character of all time. Speaking of being nervous about a live action, Netflix is working on that. Have you been following up with their updates at all?
Wait, I thought that they were doing
They are
anime. I thought they were doing animation.
Well,
I thought they were expanding through animation.
They're doing several different. So like they're doing one.
Oh, they're doing a live action too.
They're doing a series based on the series, on the animation, on the original or whatever. I mean, I'm nervous because it's one of my favorite IPs. But I will say, like the YouTube that I've watched on people breaking it down, like specifically one guy went through every cast member, and he was like, why it's good, why it's bad. After that, I felt, okay, I feel pretty good. This is a pretty good cast they put together. There's not like any like huge names attached, which to me is good.
Right.
I want no names.
Yeah.
But I don't want like fresh.
You can't have Vin Diesel playing Aang.
No. Uncle Iroh is Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
No. I mean, like if one person,
the M. Night Shyamalan one, man.
I haven't watched it yet.
So rough.
Yeah.
I watched it in theaters. I remember I brought a lot of friends who weren't quite as into the anime as me, and I was like, dude, this anime is like one of the best written stories of all time. This is gonna be so lit. And then like we got out of it, and everyone was like, that was trash, bro.
Oh, they thought it was trash, not even knowing the backstory.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you're right. That was pretty much one of the worst things I've ever seen. And so I know a little bit behind the scenes stuff in that, because I know some people actually worked on it.
Oh, really?
And it's funny, if you watch the apparently the second AD or the AD team did not really know how to work with background actors. If you go back and watch some of those scenes, the background actors are just like spinning in circles. Like they'd just be like doing like some like almost like crappy like early video game animation thing where they're just like
my god,
NPCs it's a trip. Yeah, and that movie just, I don't know if there can be I mean, at least it set the bar low enough that no matter how bad this new live action thing is, it probably can't be that bad. Like that shit was terrible.
I've heard nothing.
It's one of those movies you feel bad that you watch. You're like, I can't believe I spent time seeing this.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to. I don't know, preparing myself. I will admit that when I watched the trailer, I was like, this trailer looks badass. I would be pumped.
Of the M. Night Shyamalan
Yeah,
one?
I would be pumped.
Yeah. I mean, me too, because like I was pumped going in a little bit. I was like, I would think like this could be dope, and then it was not at all.
I mean, like even the
it
animation
just did not have the heart at all.
Oh yeah.
Like, and and to be fair, adapting anime live action is probably the hardest thing in the world.
Right.
Like it's the same reason like a lot of video game adaptations are not good.
Right.
Because it's just such a different medium, and you're gonna have to do it differently enough to where it fits the medium, but you still have to like have the heart of the show in what you do. I think that's one of the reasons. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but the Last of Us remake or the live action. Yeah. I think one of the reasons it is such a good adaptation is because the game is super realistic. Like it is like a very like, there's not like people running up walls and doing all, it's like you're walking around and like you're having to like pull out your flashlight and like look around. And so it's so much easier of an adaptation because it's so like the game was just so realistic, and the graphics, I mean, were like mind-blowingly realistic for the time when it came out too. And so I think that's one of the reasons it's getting such a good reception, is because it's an easier thing to adapt to than like World of Warcraft live action, or like all these other adaptations. It is so hard to adapt anime.
I wonder,
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I wonder if you took a live action, say of Avatar or whatever, and something that's very common in anime is, say someone gets upset, their head gets 50 times as big and as it really is.
Yeah,
their face takes over the whole screen. Like, what if you were just to literally translate that into a live action? Would it work?
Yeah, but then I'm like, why not just make it animated?
Right,
like at that point, like
what
why
are we
not
doing?
just do it animated? I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, I think that's why it's you know, all these big studios have not been really able to do it well. I mean, I can't think of a live action anime that has been like really have well received. You know, the Death Note, they did one with Death Note, and that one was not well received. Like the Dragon Ball Z movie, I don't know if you ever saw that, but that was weird. It was almost like so bad it was kind of entertaining, but it was weird.
What's that one? Oh gosh, it's an old like kung fu movie that was meant to be like Fist of Fury or
Crouching Tiger.
No, that was a good one. That was actually a good one.
Oh, Kung Fu Hustle. Kung Fu
Hustle. Maybe it was like that. There's like maybe like a kangaroo or something. I cannot remember. I just remember like it was just so. It was blatantly made so. Fist of Fury, or something like that. It was blatantly made so fun. It was like a parody of kung fu that it was hilarious and actually very entertaining.
Yeah, and maybe the way to do these live action adaptations is to not tell the same story but be in the same world, so that you can like have that world already established, but tell a different story that would be well told as a live action.
Right.
Like maybe it's like the politics of Avatar, you know, it's all about like the people working in the, you know, or something like that, or I don't know. Hopefully the new Avatar and the new One Piece live adaptations prove us wrong, and like we finally get something that that proves us wrong about this. Yeah, please.
We'll take it. Well, if you think about like The Dark Knight, which was, you know, an adaptation of Batman, which is originally a comic book, right? Not quite animated.
Yeah, comic book, but animated is it's like the American version of a manga anime, basically.
Yeah, right. But it was so well received, and it was a great adaptation. But it kind of did what you just said. It took like, what would Gotham really feel like, and then expanded that. Like, well, who would be in Gotham? This type of character. And I wonder, you know, I mean, I guess that's what anybody that's a good writer is probably going to take that approach, and sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. But I don't know. I would love to see some live action Avatar. You know, Pokemon still has what do they call that? The uncanny valley to overcome. Yeah.
Dude, Detective Pikachu though, was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah. They kept the spirit, like they still looked like their characters, but you are right. That did pretty good. So just take
that's probably the best live action anime adaptation that's been made.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
And Ryan Reynolds, you know, was great in it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I forget about Detective Pikachu. It's kind of like over there, but yeah, that was a good adaptation. Just take that same animation and then apply it to, I don't know, what if you did like a Love, Death, and Robots type thing, but you kept it in a universe where it's like mini stories about a firebender that fell in love with a waterbender, and you know, I mean, it doesn't have to go over seasons.
Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet type stuff.
Yeah, I would love that kind of, like.
Yeah, and there's so many like little. I mean, you can make it all about the cabbage dealer, the cabbage guy. Like, that would be so funny. Yeah. Or even if it's just like a 3-episode miniseries of like the cabbage guy, that would be so funny.
I do like limited series quite a bit. Like Chernobyl, I liked how they were just 5 episodes, but they were just packed with. Every episode was amazing, and I didn't have to spend 90 hours with Walter White, which I loved doing, but also I don't have that. I can't do that for everything. So these limited series, I mean, a 3-part, hour and a half per episode limited series about the cabbage dealer, I'm in. You know what I mean? I'm in.
Yeah, why not? Get some really funny dude to play him. Like I don't know.
So did you see? Did you see the casting for the live action? Is that the same guy that did the cabbage voice is going to be the cabbage guy in the live action?
Oh, great, dude! Yeah, make him the cabbage dealer.
Exactly.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I thought
that's great.
Yeah, I'm pumped about that.
Who did they cast as Uncle Iroh? I'm curious.
Are you going to Google it? I can see him in my mind. Supposedly he's a good actor. He's well known in the Asian markets. I don't know his name though, but
oh no, it came up Mako, which is the original voice actor, but he passed away.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
yeah. God, he was such a great Paul Sung Hyung Lee. Oh, he's in The Mandalorian. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I don't know. There wasn't any casting that I thought that I was like, what is this about? At least the YouTube video that I watched, the guy broke it down like this. The reason that this guy's playing Sokka, he's perfect. His comedic, energy is right here, but he also has the looks to fall in love with Suki and all this stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I have hopes. Hopefully these streaming services are learning from their failures of She-Hulk and all that stuff, you know, and Velma and all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, yeah, I've not seen a show get so just trashed as much as Velma, and it's a kind of a funny thing because it's like, you know, the people who are defending everybody like everyone's just racist, and everyone who's just like it's not about the race,
Yeah.
it just looks like a shitty show.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like there's no Scooby-Doo in it, dude.
Yeah, what happened? Right, yeah, exactly. I don't know. I the only reason that I like totally shit shows like that is because then like people like the Critical Drinker get to make a video about why it sucks, and I'm like, well, at least that's entertaining. Do you watch him?
For sure. No, but I've heard of
yeah.
him, the Critical Drinker.
Yeah, he has some really good video essays. He just goes so hard, but he's very intellectual as well, and you know, he's not just like this show is a piece of shit. He's like, you know, in this instance, a character should be learning from their mistakes, and then by the end of this episode or series, they should, you know, do one of these three things. Gladriel did none of that. You know, she just stayed, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, he's very articulate in that sense.
Yeah, video essay channels are so underappreciated because one of my guests was she makes video essays, and she said like one video took her 6 months.
Yes.
Like of researching, of like, you know, writing, recording.
Oh, I believe it.
Like,
I believe it.
They put so much into these videos, and some of them are so articulate. Like it's better than like a college thesis. Some of them.
Oh my God, 100%.
And it's just like, yeah, and it's also like, you know, not only just words but the visual aspect of everything. It's just like it's such a underappreciated medium, and anyone who out there who has a video essay channel, like, good on you, because that takes a lot of work. I thought about doing some video essays, and I was just like, this is too much time than I have to devote to this. I can't put the time and energy into this, at least at the moment.
Right. You ever watch, I'm sure you do, Lessons from the Screenplay?
Oh yeah,
my
Lessons
gosh.
from the Screenplay, and what was the one, Every Frame of Painting?
Every Frame of Painting.
Who no longer does video essays, but yeah, I think he stopped like a few years ago just to actually, like, you know, kind of pursue a career, because, you know, like I said, it takes a lot of time, and you know, and even if you have a video essay that, say, it gets 1 million views, like 1 million view YouTube video will probably make anywhere between like $1,000 to like $4,000. And if you're putting 6 months into that, that's not even really worth it. And that's if you like go viral, basically.
Right.
Like,
That's a tall order, but I'm, like you said, I'm very happy that people make them. I remember a while back, my buddy was like, well, what TV shows do you watch? And I'm like, I don't really watch. I watch video essays. He's like, what's that? I'm like, oh boy, okay. Because everyone's usually got you know, you're always kind of working on a show. Everybody in this society is like, here's what I'm watching, you know, currently. But man, the amount of video essays, the amount of podcasts, and the amount of just YouTube videos in general that I consume. Like, I have a little add-on to my Brave browser that I can speed the videos up as much as I want. I mean, I just kind of go, this is a triple speed, whoop, and then just try to.
Yeah, this is a triple speed video.
Which is an awesome tool to have. But yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had just a whole life to just consume content and a whole life to make content, because like so many times, but it's again about that balance. Like, you want to, you know, consume as much as you can, and then, you know, go out there and take that and go make some stuff. But yeah, I mean, there are so many shows, so many things, games. Like, I haven't been playing as much games lately because it's just like, it's such a time commitment. Though that new Harry Potter game might make me change my mind. That looks fire.
Yeah, we wife took off.
I saw your TikTok, like all those games that you posted on the coming out this year. I was like, I want to play all these games, like the Wukong game. Oh my god,
the Jedi game looks phenomenal.
Yeah, the new Jedi Survivor. It's just like, but they're so, I mean, each of these games is going to take like 50 hours.
Oh my gosh, at least
there's so many of them.
At least,
yeah, at least 50. I mean, I haven't played Elden Ring yet, because I know that if I get into that, I'm going to be putting in at least 100 hours.
Right.
The big game I played last year, probably my top game of the year last year, which I don't even think it came out last year, was Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, nice.
That one was great.
Yeah, my buddy Colin was playing.
Just such an aesthetic game. It's like, you know, Assassin's Creed, but at the same time, you kind of just get to wander around rural Japan.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, hang out in a hot spring. And the fighting. the fighting in it is super fun. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those games that even by the end, a lot of games by the end of it, you're like, I'm sick of fighting because it's the same thing over and over. But you have so many tools and so many like combinations that it never gets old. Like you can be like, I'm gonna go into this battle, kill 100 people without anyone seeing me, and like just throw kunai and explosives, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna walk through the front door, and like
Deadpool style.
Yeah, Deadpool style, and there's like parries and all sorts of stuff you can do.
That is, yeah. I mean, again, like in this day and age, you just have to set time aside to game. Like I've just kind of learned that more and more, especially with Hogwarts Legacy coming out, because my wife is such a Harry Potter fan. Like that is her world. Yeah. I'm like, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? Harry Potter. Harry Potter or Pokemon? Harry Potter. Like she's the biggest Potterhead that I know. Potter's.
Dude, when I grew up, man, I saw all 8 movies at midnight.
You did?
Premiere, like every single one. Yeah. And by book, I think it was book 4, I would get all the books at midnight and read them usually within a day or two.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and dude, oh man, I don't want to call out anyone personal, but there are some people close to me that, we all grew up watching Harry Potter, and they've kind of let the whole J.K. Rowling thing make that where they don't like it anymore.
Right.
And to me, I'm just like, I can't. I love it so much. I don't agree with, J.K. Rowling or anything, but like, to me, it's like, especially with the movies too, because it's like, I mean, the movies have so many more people involved than just J.K. Rowling. Yeah, she was the creator of the books, but like, I mean, we've worked on movies. Like a movie is more than just like one director or one actor. It's hundreds of people putting so much time and energy into something. So yeah, if one person does something that makes them you don't agree with, like you can't let that ruin an entire piece of art
100%
for you, in my opinion. I mean, I understand it, like you want to, but especially Harry Potter, man, I can't, like that's just too great of a story. Like that was such a part of my childhood.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And talk about one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most untapped IPs. Like the games always were based off the movies.
I'm excited that they're getting into the game stuff. And
my God. I mean, just the gameplay alone of walking into the houses, the Hufflepuff house, and how it has its own. Have you watched any of those?
Yeah, I watched the 11-minute.
Has the aesthetic, and I mean.
Yeah, it's such a vibe. Even if the gameplay sucks, it's still a vibe. I don't think the gameplay. Yeah. From what I've seen, all the reviews so far are pretty good. The only thing I've seen a complaint about is I've heard that some of the combat and stuff might be a little easy, which kind of makes sense. Granted, I assume there's probably some difficulty settings that you could play in like expert mode. Right. And to be fair, a game doesn't need to be hard to be fun.
Right.
Like necessarily.
I mean, I think about it as almost like a Red Dead. They did the morality system to where if you go bad, you can learn dark magic. And you can learn spells that the good people can't learn, and vice versa. If you become a good wizard, then there's like Patronuses and stuff that you can use that the bad people can't use. So I'm like excited about that whole thing. But Kelsey, she's just like, I'm just going to wander around Hogwarts. I'm not really going to
explore every nook and cranny.
Exactly. Like I don't know how many hours, probably tens of hours doing that, just walking around, and the stairs are moving, and I'm going to go to this house, and I'm going to go to the hall, and I mean. In a world like that, there's always dynamic changes. I'm sure there's going to be weather involved where it's raining outside in Hogwarts, probably playing Quidditch and all that stuff. So there's going to be plenty to do, I imagine.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those games that like actually finding all the collectibles is going to be enjoyable because you're just getting to wander around. Where with some of like the Assassin's Creed or some of the other games, like, I mean, not all the Assassin's Creed, but there's like so many things to collect that by the end of it, you're like, oh man, I don't want to get all 200 flags. This is such a grind.
Right.
Whereas I think Harry Potter, you're just going to be able to enjoy exploring.
It just looks beautiful.
Little things.
I mean, the design just looks stunning, and it looks like the movies did a good job for sure. But this one, it just seems like the game creators have really, really opened the floodgates of what Hogwarts and what Harry Potter can be, which is what is so exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for it to come
and I'm
out.
glad they took their time with it. They pushed the release like several times, and like to me, that is such a good sign because so many games come out uncompleted, and you have to wait a year for all the patches and expansions to come out for it actually to be a full game.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's pushed this much like actually makes me feel like they're wanting to release it as a complete thing,
right?
Versus like everyone pre-order it and then we'll have 4 expansions come out and then it'll finally be right.
And we'll charge you for each expansion too.
Yeah, and we'll charge you $20 for each of those expansions, and by the end of it, you spent $200 on one game.
I'm looking at you, Ark, even though I love you so much. I don't care how glitchy you are. I love you. No, I told Kelsey that the same thing because she kind of got upset. She's like, "Oh, it got pushed," because I think it was supposed to come out for holiday season of 2022. Was that the original?
Yeah, dude. No, I think. Oh yeah, 2020. No, I think it was holiday season of like 2021.
Oh,
I think
wow,
it's been pushed over a year.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. And she was all upset. And I told her what you just said. I said, well, I think it's actually a good sign that they are humble enough to say, wait a minute, we can make this better. Let's just hold off. Now, we don't want to Duke Nukem this. We don't want to do 10 years down the road. But,
well, luckily we only have 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
We're like, we do see that release. Release in sight. Yeah.
Have you got it pre-ordered?
Yeah, No, I have not pre-ordered it. I probably will not buy it the second it comes out. Depending on what my workload is like, maybe I will. Right. I don't know. I tend not to pre-order stuff.
Yeah.
I because it's also like, like I said, games have had the reputation of not coming out released. I don't think this one's going to be that case, but I in general, I've not pre-ordered things. Plus, with PS5, usually if I want to, I can probably go in to Best Buy and find a copy day of, even if I didn't pre-order.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the one I'm going to play on PS5 versus PC.
Same. That's
there's certain games that certain games you really want to get in your PC so you can like have that experience, but some games you just want to like sit on a couch and have that controller and just like 100%. Really be cozy.
Yeah.
Do
you do any streaming, like game streaming?
So I've worked with a lot of streamers. There was over COVID I did some streaming mostly as like trying to figure it out so that I could help other streamers. I mean, my Parallel Gaming Live, we do a lot of streams. I'm never usually on the streams because I'm running. I actually can run streams for people remotely. So like all the Parallel Gaming streams were based out of Oklahoma.
Okay.
So I can remote into their PC, set up all the settings, do all the graphics, and do it all remotely. It is something that I've been interested in. I don't think game streaming is if I ever did it, I wouldn't look at it as like a job type thing. Like I would never like be like, I'm gonna do this so I can become a streamer.
Right.
But I love playing games, and so like being able to record that so that I could look back at like my experiences playing games does seem really interesting. And I also know being a streamer is a grind, bro. Being a streamer is almost harder than being a professional actor because there's so many more people out there trying to be streamers. There are millions and millions of people out there trying to be streamers and get a following versus and a lot of the growth through streaming actually happens in between the streams, like promoting yourself on social media and like doing like planning collabs and like planning events where you're doing like subathons and stuff like that. And to me that's just like it's a full-time job in itself, and so I don't want to do that because that part does not seem at all like something I'm interested in. But I actually, because I have a sleeper YouTube account that has like 4,500 subs. Because I made some like videos on it that were completely unmonetizable, but it did attract a lot of people like naturally. And so I thought maybe about just hopping on that and streaming some games on it and seeing what happens. Like not expecting that I'm gonna like make money. Maybe I'll make enough money to buy a game.
That'd be cool.
Maybe I can make $60. Like that'd be cool. It is interesting because I think in another life, if I knew this was like a thing growing up, like that would have been my dream job. Like playing games playing games and making money. Like that's who does not want to live that life,
right?
But to me, I just already have so many other things going on, and I know because I've worked with people who both start out streaming and are streaming to like 0 1 people, and also people who have already built a following of a few hundred viewers every time they go live or 1,000. And it just is such a grind.
If you want to be successful at it,
if you want to be successful and really make it your thing. But I might maybe when I get Harry Potter, I'll just be like, well, why not stream it? That way I can at least like look at all my VODs and go back and have some moments to look back on.
Right.
Because it is like growing up there were so many of these games that I played like the first time I played Ocarina or something, I would love to go back and like watch myself play that just to relive those moments. Because you can replay the game, but it's not always going to be the same.
Right.
You're not always going to have that fresh like vibe of like, oh man, like the first time experiencing the Water Temple, or the first time playing Breath of the Wild, like that is such a vibey game.
Oh, I think of the PSM PlayStation magazine that I was subscribed to, which I loved as a kid. They sent me, they sent everybody a demo of God of War, and so I popped this thing in my PlayStation 2, and I'm like, what is this? I mean, if I could have filmed that, my brother and I's reaction of like, what is going on right now? That changed our life. That changed our life forever. And now we're still huge God of War fans. But yeah, I have never thought about it in that sense. I've always thought about it in the sense of, I'm playing the game. Why not? Why not hop on and just stream it for whatever reason? If someone hops on and I talk with them, that'd be cool. If a following happens, like, I don't know if you accidentally get a following, like professional streamers are being
I'm
like,
sure I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it's like happened where some people like stumble into actually like making it a full-time job. But it's hard, and you definitely can't go in with that expectation. But yeah, it's kind of the same feeling like if you're playing online and you have like 5 or 6 friends watching. It's kind of the same feeling as like when you're young and you go over to a buddy's house and all 6 of you are playing through like a one player RPG, and you're all getting to watch it.
Right.
And be like, dude, check that out. Like, what's over there? Like,
experience it together. Yeah. I like the idea of capturing the moment. Like, I haven't really thought about that, to where, because I plan on streaming Hogwarts Legacy with Kelsey, and she's not going to watch this or listen to this, so I can say this, but I bought a Snape outfit, so I'm going to dress up as Snape.
Oh, and, awesome, dude.
And I asked her the other night, I was like, if you could dress up as anybody, who would you want to dress up as? She said Hermione, of course, or Dumbledore. So I bought her a Dumbledore costume.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
So I'm planning on just doing a dual camera, me and her dressed up as Snape and Dumbledore, and then her playing, just because, like, we're going to play it anyway, so might as well make a day out of it.
Yeah, dude, I think that was fun, and who knows, maybe you will stumble into something wild, like getting a little extra. I mean, dude, if you could find a way to just make the money to pay off the game, I think that would be amazing. And if not, you'll always have that to look back on and like see your first playthrough with your,
Remember that time we dressed up like, I'm excited about it. That'll be fun. Have you fucked around with ChatGPT?
Oh man.
Oh yes.
Oh man. Oh boy. I actually freaked out a buddy of mine the other day because we were working on a script outline together, and he's the writer, and I'm like, yeah, once we get this written, I can like really start to get this produced. Yeah. And he had this, we had braked out the first 2 acts, but we had trouble with the third. Yeah. And so I put in all the act structure we've formatted and all the character things into ChatGPT, and it finished the outline.
Did it really?
And it was like pretty. Yeah, it was pretty decent. In fact, I was like, I feel like this is almost like where he would have gone with it. I sent it to him. He's like, I can't open this email, man. I can't do it. Like, it's freaking me out too much. But thank you, because it gave me a kick in the ass to finish the outline. And so he finished it within like 3 hours of that email coming in. Writers are really... So the reason writers are so freaked out about this, and I've talked with several writers about this, is because especially with the union, writers... They get paid so much more to write a script than to like revise a script, right? So like, let's just say, for example, a professional writer gets paid $10K for a first draft or of a script, right? Right. And then they would normally get paid like, $1,000 or $2,000 to go in and do the revisions. So what they're worried about is that all the studios are just gonna, throw in all the information, have the chat GPTs writing all the first drafts, and then hiring the professional writers to actually make them good. Yeah. In which case the writers are going to get such a pay cut and but I'm encouraging every writer. I'm like, dude, you can't do anything about it. Learn chat GPT just in case. Like, learn how to use it. Get the API, get the sandbox, get chat GP or GPT-3, like learn how to use this as well as you can, because it is, you can't stop it. You can't stop it.
It's terrifying and exciting.
There are a lot of limitations to it, though. There are some. In fact, from what I was talking with one of my buddies who's a programmer the other day. I think it actually might be really good at doing like executive notes on a script. So like, you know,
wow.
you get all these executive notes on your script,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, change this, and you're just like, okay, have ChatGPT do it.
Right.
Like, we know we have to like put in the changes,
Yeah.
like, and then just have ChatGPT do the changes,
Like
and
the
like it'll
efficiency.
save them some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, some efficient. I think there, like, if we look at it more as a tool rather than like something coming in to change the, like, take the job,
Right.
there are some advantages to it. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I know a YouTuber who was having ChatGPT tell him what to do on all his videos for this year.
See that?
And so far, I'm not like too impressed with the ideas it's come up with, but it might get better and better.
Oh, it will. That's the thing. Like, I think they said ChatGPT 4 is going to be released in June.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
next rendition.
Yeah.
And the TikTok that I watched said that, I don't remember what the ChatGPT 1 and 2 were trained on. Maybe like a dictionary or something, or like maybe a set of books that the programmers chose. And 3 is based off Wikipedia, I believe. So that's a huge chunk. But ChatGPT 4
it's insert. Yeah.
is supposed to be a portion of the internet. So it's going to have that much more reach. That's what the TikTok said. I don't know how accurate it is. Chinese propaganda.
No, that makes sense. Because basically how it works is like it assigns every word like a number, you know, right? So, and then it sees the patterns of these like words and numbers. So it's like, say you give it all of Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Every word in the US language is going to have a number. It's going to read the patterns of all these numbers and like figure out how these patterns form. But the thing about the internet thing that I was talking to a buddy about is eventually, because ChatGPT is going to start making the content for the internet, and it's going to be reading its own content. So it's almost like a clone of a clone situation where it's like reading its own stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like using that to make more stuff. And if the stuff that it's putting out is like kind of off a little bit, even if it's like a 90%, like it's kind of like, oh, the first clone's like 95% there, but then it's using that clone and it's like making a clone of that. It's a 90%. And then by the end, it's just like kind of saying nonsense. Like, I wonder if that's going to run into things. I also heard that recently, I think they made a deal with Microsoft where they're storing everything on their servers and everything, and they're having some scaling issues with that as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting. I think it's like, I think some people are a little too afraid of it, and some people do not understand how much this is going to change.
I would think most people don't. I mean, once you kind of mess with it, and my mom's writing a book about like memory, like not an autobiography, but just kind of like a reflective book for her grandkids. And she couldn't come up with a title, and I was like, hey, watch this. Please give me a 5 suggestions for a title, and I hit enter, and I mean, just to watch her try to grasp what was being presented to her was entertaining enough for me, but also me being like, oh my God, those are actually decent titles that we can go in and kind of change or to build off of. To comment on the infinite loop of ChatGPT, wouldn't you think that it would be smart enough to recognize its own content and kind of know that I did that?
I mean, you could have it do well. Yes and no, because people are going to publish ChatGPT content as their own, so it wouldn't necessarily know whether it's making that. It might be able to discern some patterns, but it's basically like, is ChatGPT smart enough to know when it fucks up to see those fuck ups? And I mean, if it knew, if it was smart enough to. Yeah, like say like it put out some information that was like 90% right, and then someone publishes that as their information. It's not going to know that I wrote this necessarily. And so, and if it was smart enough to know that it was fucking up, it wouldn't have fucked up in the first place. So it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, that's a great thing to think about.
Yeah, especially if the person who takes the ChatGPT content edits it just even slightly, because then it would be pretty impossible to notice those patterns, or to be like, oh, I like published this and I can just ignore that.
Yeah. Wow. That's
the
great thing about not being live. You do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. It's like one of those things I want to be 100% present, but once that body starts telling you, you gotta, there's always that like thing in your mind where it's like, I kind of gotta pee.
Oh, it actually, I watched a Dr. Andrew Huberman podcast. Do you know Dr. Andrew Huberman?
Yeah.
He was talking about
he did like Rogan and a lot of.
Oh yeah, and he's got his own podcast now, which is super dense with information. But I remember him talking about how somehow it's the connection between, like, I think it's your bladder and your brain that the larger your bladder gets and the more full your bladder gets, the more it commands your brain. Like I don't know, it's like a special connection or whatever. And I thought, that I didn't need science to tell me that, but I agree.
Yeah. Or you start like talking a little faster. You're like, yeah, let's. Like,
I just can't focus.
You're like dancing or fidgeting a little more.
Yeah. Like the person might be telling me the most interesting story of all time. And I'm like, I can't think about anything besides taking a piss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. So,
but ChatGPT, man, like I'm excited because I think I've actually been using it as a tool for finishing some old outlines, and it's like been really nice.
So, like, what do you?
Yeah, because it's like I just give it as much information as I can because it does have a limit of how much you can give it at one time, but you can give it in blocks where it's like, okay, here's all the character descriptions.
Yeah.
And then like, here's like the outline of Act 1, here's the outline of Act 2, here's the outline of Act 3. How would I, or maybe Act 4, and what should Act 3 be? Or like, what would be some options for Act 3? Or what would be a driving force for this character to get to this place where I want them to get starting out here, you know? And I'm not always going to just like copy paste what it says, but it's kind of like having an AI assistant to help you write some things, like a writer's assistant.
Well, I mean, what's the difference between that and you and me, hopping on a call and you say, here's the characters, here's Act 1, here's Act 2. What are your thoughts on Act 3? Well, the only difference is that I'm a human and I'm a friend. But if I were to say, what if I gave you a good idea for Act 3 and you're like, yeah, I'm going to use that. Like, good, go and use it. I don't think there's much of a difference coming from a computer or from a AI, right? It's just, we already do that, but we're freaked out because it's not a person. So we're not used to it and everybody has access to it. So then we kind of think, maybe I think that it derives less value because, everybody has access to it, which is not true because we've seen that with the internet. You still have to have talent. You still have to know how to prompt it. You still have to have the original idea, I think. Maybe you could just ask it. I don't know. I mean, it's so new and so
usually
exciting.
From what I've seen, it can't come. It needs some input. If I ask it for like an original idea, it's like, that's up to the author, but here are some options. And like, then you would have to at least choose one of those options.
Right. It's good at giving you stepping off points, I guess. Mm-hmm. Or at least starting, maybe.
I think there is a limitation though. Like, I think it is in some ways less ideal than me and you working together versus me and ChatGPT because it doesn't have that soul. And writing and art comes from the soul, like not like from like a spiritual standpoint, but I just mean like from the heart, like it doesn't understand why we love Avatar: The Last Airbender like so much, like in some ways, like it can kind of understand like this part makes you happy, this part makes you sad, but it doesn't. The technical side of but it can't really tell you like why this resonates with you so much, or like how this can like resonate more.
Right. It doesn't know that,
at least for now.
Right. It doesn't know that, such so-and-so's relationship to their father was similar to Zuko and his dad, and that's why he loved, something like that. It doesn't have access. So that's a great point, actually. It doesn't have access to that. It might someday though, which is kind of spooky. Have you ever read any
once we all put neural nets in our brains, and it can just use that info?
Man. Have you read any of Yuval Noah Harari? He wrote Sapiens.
Is a name.
He's an Israeli.
I did read Sapiens.
Okay, so
I did read Sapiens.
That's Yuval Noah Harari. He has a book called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Oh, well, he has that one, and then he has the sequel to Sapiens called Homo Deus, and both of them deal with the technology, the oncoming technology of our world and how it will influence us, or how he thinks it's going to influence us. Specifically, his chapter on AI it is one of the most eye-opening chapters to prompt you to think about this technology and what it can do. So, for instance, like, he's already talking about these social media networks that they know where your eyes go because the phone's staring right at you. So it's like, oh, they know what part of the picture that you're looking at. And so he's a gay guy married to a husband, to a man. And he was like, they would know you are gay before you even know you're gay because they know like where your eyes are going, what you're liking, like what your prompt was. Dude, it's a fascinating chapter, and it's actually terrifying. But he makes the argument that goes both ways, where here's how we can use it, and here's how it can better our lives. But here's how it's like terrifying, and it might, consume us and enslave us.
It's like, I mean, I know Mike Pence is gay, and I don't think he realizes it.
Right? The robots do. The robots.
It's like there's only one reason you hate someone so much, and that's because you're.
No joke. Not
to get political here.
Yeah. But not only with AI, well, not even with ChatGPT, because that's like its own type of AI. But I'm sure, I know for sure you are, know about deep fakes visually, and now we got the deep fakes with audio. I saw one the other day with Elon Musk talking about how something like he was on stage and he was like, my testosterone is so high that essentially other men are just females to me. So I'll have sex with whoever I want. And I'm like, what? And it was like, just...
I'm so manly that everyone's a female.
Exactly.
So I'll fuck anything.
Which was a deep fake, But at first, it caught me off guard. I'm like, what is he saying?
Because it's almost like Elon Musk says so many wild things that you're like, did he actually say that?
But if you listen closely,
what are your thoughts on him these days? With
Musk? I love Musk. I'm a big Musk fan, Like, I don't know. I don't understand him. And... I try not to buy into the hype too much because I tend to idolize people like that, like I admire people like that.
Yeah.
And then I have to remind myself like, dude, they're people and they have ambitions and he's a billionaire and he's probably I have nefarious things inside me. He probably has nefarious things inside of him. But I mean,
definitely,
my opinion overall is like, I think he's a net positive for humanity. I mean, that's what I would say. Trying to make better technology, and I like his thoughts and stuff. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I just know he's been such a controversial figure these days because he has some people who love him, like almost treat him as like the world savior, and then people who are like, dude, screw this guy, like screw this billionaire, man. He's like such a POS. And I'm kind of like, in the middle of that world where I'm like, I do think that he does a lot of things that are net positive, like with the idea to go to Mars and like, self-driving cars. But I do have this like wondering of like, is he kind of like full of shit in some of these things? Like, because for example, Tesla's getting sued for false advertising because none of their cars are actually self-driving.
Right.
They are almost self-driving.
Right.
And then with the Twitter thing, it just seemed like I think he had some great ideas for Twitter, but it did seem like he kind of was brushing off the humanity of the employees a little bit, where he was like, "Oh, screw you! Like you're fired." Like it's almost like in a Trump way. But I do think like his brain is like on no other of humanity, and like I hope all the recent stuff will push him back into a mode of being humanity driven rather than just worried about like freedom of speech, which I think is important. But at the same time, it's kind of like how I feel about Jordan Peterson. I think Jordan Peterson is a very intelligent man and says a lot of things, but he doesn't need to be tweeting about some like plus size model and being like, this girl's not beautiful. Like that's like a waste of his brain. like that like to me, like that's not what we need from this guy. Like we need him to like be talking about like deep philosophical things rather than just being like, fat people are not beautiful. Like it's like, okay, like word. Like how does that help anything? Just like just like Elon Musk, sometimes he tweets some things that are like, okay, word, like how does this help anything? But I do think actions speak louder than words, so hopefully his actions continue to reflect a net positive change, which I think so far they seem to have, even though his words are sometimes a little wild. I mean,
no one's perfect, and I mean, I don't have a perfect track record or whatnot, but net positive, hopefully, either, net positive as far as the tech and stuff. I remember.
I was thinking about like, because like just recently, like the Justin Roiland thing, like,
yeah.
you know, he was one of my favorite I mean, Rick and Morty was great. And obviously if he's guilty of what he's getting accused of, that is terrible.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, it goes back to like, you know, like the J.K. Rowling thing, where it's like people can make things you enjoy without being perfect people. I mean, Martin Luther King, from what I understand, was like kind of a womanizer and like abused some women, and like same with Gandhi. I heard he was like kind of into like young boy stuff, and it's like they can have a net positive and still have flaws,
right?
Even as extreme as those flaws can be. But or even if it's not a net positive, we can still learn from the positive, even if it's a net negative.
Right.
Like we can still take from that positive and be like, yes, this contributed greatly to society.
Right.
Like all our founding fathers had slaves, like, but without them, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
And we can learn from their mistakes and be like, that is not an acceptable thing, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, and just continue to try to grow as a collective rather than anytime someone does anything bad, just immediately be like, nope, you're not part of society anymore. Right. Like, sorry, you did something bad. Right. Like,
well, eventually, then we'd all be out.
Then we'd all be out. Then the AI would take over because we can make the AI completely perfect. You know? But
that's what I mean
when
I think about Musk. You know, as like I have to keep myself in check because I will idolize these people. You know, I love looking up to. Well, everybody does. Everybody loves to look up to heroes, no matter what they are, whether they're thought heroes or great athletes, or you know, someone that performs at a high level, a professional, or a hero. But you got to remember, like they are human. They do have flaws. Yeah. Like you said, some of these flaws might be egregious. Some of these flaws might be unforgivable. You know, we just got to communicate about it, conversate about it. And also, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep the good stuff. You know, we will acknowledge that not good. Don't do that. Don't idolize that part. But humans are flawed, and we're complicated creatures, and we just gotta take it easy, I guess, on each other.
For sure, man. Yeah, give each other some grace.
Yeah.
Like if someone says a no word, like don't immediately just be like, you're done, never gonna listen to you ever again. Like, but you know, but also like keep people accountable. Like keep people, you know, don't be like that's okay. Like you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Have no repercussions, but at the same time, show some grace, not only to individuals, but as our species.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes back to your thoughts on balance. You know, it's like we have to have a balance between tolerance. Like how much do we tolerate? Or how much do we use justice, or I don't know whatever the opposite of tolerance is. But it's kind of has to be.
And you can't tolerate someone if they're perfect, because tolerance means you're accepting some badness.
Yeah,
like, you can't tolerate some. Like I'm not going to tolerate a blowjob. That's great. but if someone's like a really good person but has a few like rough edges, like that's what I tolerate. Like I'm tolerating the imperfections. You know?
The shortcomings. The shortcomings are almost like, you know, if you're tolerating, you know, I'm thinking of like, what if you're like a very religious person and you have these disciplines, but me as a non-religious person, I don't have these disciplines. Like I'm tolerating, you're going to take time to pray over the meal. Like I just want to eat, but I'm going to tolerate. So sometimes it's not even about bad. It's just about differences, I guess. But I don't know. We're all learning this at the same time. Like the internet has never been this crazy, and the technology has never been so advanced in my lifetime as it is right now, same as you. So I saw a great TikTok the other day that said something like, you know, it's your parents' first time living life too. So be easy on them. It's like, we're all just trying to figure this out. And
no parent is perfect. No parent is perfect. And like, you have to give them grace too.
Absolutely.
Like, for sure. Give everyone.
Yeah, that's probably the secret of today's world. Like, let's just all calm down and talk to each other for one. Listen would probably be even better. And like you said, give grace and space to learn. That's definitely one thing I've learned about the podcast, is that it's allowed me and my guests to have a area to explore an idea that they have maybe only maybe thought about just a little bit. But it's like a place like, let's take this further. Like, go ahead, just think out loud. I'm thinking out loud. I'm going to walk down this path. I don't know where we're going to end up. I might say some crazy shit, but we're going to get to a place and then we'll assess and then we'll move on, you know, rather than like, don't talk about that. We're not even going to talk about that. We're not even going to think about it. It's like, well, how are we going to know? How are we going to know what truth might be there?
Yeah, that's not fun. Like that, having all those like things where you're like, I can only say these things and like explore this idea, and I can only explore it in a certain way that's gonna make everyone love me and not have any negative thoughts about me ever. And that's tough because I've always kind of grown up as someone who I want everyone to like me. Like I want everyone to think I'm the dopest dude. I mean, I think most of us do. Like, no, I mean, some people are like can go out and like, I don't care what people think of me, and to an extent that's
I don't believe them.
I mean, I think it's again, I don't believe them. I think it's also again a balance thing. Like you want people to like you for who you are, but if you're who you are and people don't like that, then like you can't please everyone.
No, but it's a feedback system, right? It's like I go out to a bar. If I'm loud and obnoxious and like, it's just who I am, like, I doubt I'm going to be very popular. So really, it's a feedback system.
You can still grow.
Yeah. So maybe I'm like, okay, I don't have to be, I can still be me, but I can sort of, you know, adjust to the setting that I'm at. Or I don't know. Maybe some people would think that's selling out. I don't know. Can you, what is true authenticity? Is that being who you are, even though if you are hated?
Right, like I want to walk around naked and scratch my butt all the time. Like that's who I authentically am. It's like no, I think we have to calibrate within a society of other people. Right, like but part of like who you are is who are you with other people around. Like there's a South African word called Ubuntu, which basically translates to I am because we are. Right, like I am a person through other people. Like everyone, I am a person because of the community around me. Like if I was just a person by myself and there was no other people, like I'm basically
that's hell.
Don't exist.
That's hell.
Yeah, like I'm just that's not a thing. So you do have to calibrate within a society and you know be willing to and open to you know change for a positive.
Yes.
And that to you at least, like if you think if I'm a little less obnoxious around other people, I think that'll like make me feel better and like make me a better person, make me feel more fulfilled with my social interactions. Right. Versus just being like, this is what society wants. I'm just going to change this so that I, you know, fit in.
Yeah.
Because that's a scary balance too. You don't want to just, because then you'll look back at yourself and be like, who is this guy?
Yeah. That would be terrifying to look back and not recognize who that person was. Did you get that Ubuntu off of Tim Ferriss's podcast with the tracker? I can't think of his name.
No, so I'll be a really gross person and name drop, but I actually met Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who was one of the South African leaders and like founded. So I did this program called Semester at Sea, where you basically do an entire semester on a cruise ship and go around the world in college. And he was on the ship the whole time, and he gave a lot of like speeches, and that was like kind of his like moral lesson Ubuntu. That was kind of like his like theme of life was like I am because we are. Like it's almost like people need other people. Like sometimes we feel like we can just like you know like put on our blinders and do our own thing, but you need other people, man. I think even Harvard did a study of life expectancy, and it was one of the most long-term studies on life expectancy. And one of the things they found that actually attributed most to, you know, a long life was having a community of people and having friends and having loved ones. Like that's so important, man. I mean, it's like what like almost most stories in TV are about is like, you know, finding those friends and finding those people that help you get through life. And it's cheesy as fuck sometimes to say it out loud, but it's the truth, man. Sometimes the cheesiest things are true.
I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's just a simple, trite thing, but it's true. And it hits hard. It hits, if you really think about it,
it's hard.
You're like, wow, that is heavy. The star in the sky, or the sun, that bright thing, it's a star. And a star, you know, you start to think about something very simple and you start to dive in. It's like, wait a minute, nothing is simple. This is all crazy and wild. Yeah, one of my biggest mentors, Adam Ayers, he had a sermon one time. I remember this piece of the sermon. It's like, the impulse to be on your own is a damaging impulse. I just think about that quite a bit, because so much of us in this day and age do retreat to an isolation because we have everything we need. We have, well, we pseudo have everything we need. You know, we have enough food, we have entertainment, you know, a warm unit to sleep or to be protected, but we think that's going to fulfill us, and it might for a while, but the crucial aspect, the social connection, the thing that probably arguably makes us human, we are missing out on.
Yeah, man. And it's something that it's very subtle to see those losses if you like do isolate. Like it's not something you just immediately like feel,
right?
Oh, I'm isolated. But then over time, man, that really like wears on your soul.
Yeah.
If you just like retreat from society and go live in a cabin in the woods and just like don't talk to anyone and you know, and I get why some people feel the need to do that, because society, like, you know, love hurts. Yeah. Like relationships, whether they're romantic or friendships, are hard, and they take lots of work, and they're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to hurt those around you, and others are going to hurt you. But pushing through all that is like so important if you want to live a fulfilling life, I think.
Yeah. Well, again, balance, you know, you got to have the social interaction, but you do need some time to isolate and reflect. It's just, maybe it comes down to intention. Like, why are you isolating? Are you because you're anxious about other people? Yeah, other people are anxious about meeting you too. That's another thing that Adam said. He's like, people are just as nervous to talk to you as you are to talk to them. And as soon as I was able to kind of grasp that idea, I thought, oh, okay, well, then I should try to make them feel comfortable. And then when I do that, then I usually have a great conversation with whoever I'm talking to. And so, yeah, again, balance, going back to recharge when you need to recharge, and know when you need to do that, and go out and mingle and be with other people. And maybe they say some hurtful things, or you open your mouth and say a naughty word or whatever, and whatever. I mean, that's where the grace comes back into play too.
Yeah, say something you don't mean. Like, people do that all the time.
Yeah, right, exactly. What else you got planned for today?
Well, this was the bulk of my day. I have a little bit of editing to do for parallel gaming. I got some. We're doing some live gameplay videos.
Cool.
So I'm gonna edit that with some voiceover and kind of help people learn about, you know, the ins and outs of One Piece TCG.
Nice.
And then later on, I might go play some poker with some people and actually have some IRL.
Nice.
IRL interactions, because that's a big goal of mine this year too. Is making friends, like continuing to nurture the friendships I already have, obviously, but you know, going out and expanding that community, because I think I'm still kind of from COVID, like in a little bit of a drought of people,
right? And
it's also like, especially once you get to like our age, I think we're pretty much the same age. It's harder to make new friends, man. It really is. Yeah. Like, because when you're young, you have school, you have college. There's like easier ways to go out and make friends, versus like when you're an adult, you really have to be intentional about doing that. And I think I actually started taking a few jiu-jitsu classes.
No way.
I don't know if I
did. You really?
That. Yeah, I've been doing boxing for a while.
Okay.
I've only taken like 3 jiu-jitsu classes.
Yeah.
But I do think like going to these classes are a great way to meet people. Because most people think like, how do I meet people? I go out to a bar and like talk to a random person. Oftentimes that's not like really the best way to do it. No. So finding things like what you're saying with your Pokemon stuff, that community, finding just like people who are into stuff that you're into, is a really great way to meet people at our age, because it's hard. It's not easy to like go out and make friends as a 30-year-old, you know, man or woman. Yeah. It's like it can be really socially anxious. So that's a big community. I think we both said like community is a big goal this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And when you go out, if you go to a bar, it's like, what are we here to do? You know, versus if you go to a yoga class or a jiu-jitsu class or a One Piece tournament, it's like you've already filtered out a lot of people. Like, we're all here for the same thing, right? Okay, well, that's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I appreciate having you, man. Like, this is like, we're both into so many of the same things, podcasting, like doing all this stuff. Like, I feel like having you is part of my community is really
absolutely
enriching, man.
Yeah, I love when
I'm
you
really
post
glad
stuff.
we both got on Killers.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I don't talk to. I don't think I talked. Oh, I talked to a couple of the PAs from Killers, but you're my main dude. Like once we started hitting off on crypto, I was like, "Yep, this is my boy." And you're from Oklahoma too, so that was even better.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool when you just find people who vibe with what you vibe with, because that's not always going to happen. You know, there's people are into different stuff, and that's great.
It's rare and rare as you get older. So when you come across good people, it's like hang on to them. So.
Yeah, dude.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on today. This has been a great trial run. I've enjoyed it. I thought it went really well. I know we did the Mike Show podcast, episode 2. Go check it out. And it turned out really good. It looked good, sounded good. All the clips that you made, very, very impressive. And keep up the good work there. But yeah, I'm glad you showed me Riverside. And I'm excited about the future of Sci-Fi and Friends. So, yeah.
Me too, dude. I'm excited to see who you start bringing on with now that the world is your oyster.
Right. You know? Yeah, me too. I'll have to, yeah, I got some good ideas. Well, my friend.
Anytime you want me back, man.
Yes.
I'm happy to come back.
Oh yeah, I'll have you back. And then when you come for holiday, you can come into the studio.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I want to check out your Pokemon collection too.
Oh god, it's getting extensive. In fact, I'm going to go run over to the vintage stock in town. I'm going to buy an EBT of the Crown Zenith, and I actually am trading that for like a super rare card that somebody pulled. I don't know. I think I have a problem.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's addicting, but you know, if you're passionate about it, I think it's okay. As long as you're not just collecting because you're like, this is this value, and
yeah,
I just want a valuable collection. Like you're clear. I mean, I see your hat. You're clearly into it. You know, that's not just like a get rich quick scheme or something.
Yeah, I mean the value's cool, but I really don't know what things are valued at. I mean some stuff, but most of it I don't know. Most of it's just pleasure. So cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on today. I'm looking forward to all the upcoming podcasts, the streaming, and everything you do, because you inspire me. When I see you post, I'm like, you need to get on it. Mike's posting, you need to be posting too.
Likewise, dude. That TikTok you made the other day, I was like, holy shit, this is like top tier shit.
Yeah,
I'm top tier.
I appreciate it very much. So all right, until next time, good talking to you. Have a good whatever. Yeah, a good rest of what is today, Saturday. Good rest of Saturday.
You too, brother.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening to Sci-Fi and Friends podcast, episode number 78. Give me some feedback on this one. Let me know how it all went, since it's our first remote podcast. And go check out Mike's on the Mike Show podcast on YouTube and on Spotify. And what was the website?
MediaU.
MediaU.com?
Sponsor.
MediaU.com?
Yeah, MediaU.com/The Mike Show.
/The Mike Show. Go check him out. And then he's on Instagram. He's on TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Slim Dog Billionaire.
Slim Dog. Nice. That's right.
Yeah. I think I'm actually going to make all my socials that now, because like my other YouTube and my Twitch and everything, I think I'm just going to vibe into that handle. Yeah. Just so there's some consistency like what you have.
Absolutely, yeah. I like that too. It's creative rather than just like Mike, which is what I do. Just Colton.
Yeah.
But all right. Thank you for listening today. Y'all have a great week.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yes, sir. See you, Mike. Peace.
Sci-Fi wins.